Ooh, what's up, Internet? My name's Nerdy.
And I'm Clarus.
And this is the Nerdy.
Oh, we're peeking the Wordy
Book Club. That's right. I got it.
Okay.
Don't.
It's like, oh, dang. There we go.
Welcome in, everyone. We're finishing up the
Hi.
bands of Mourning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my favorite band.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, you don't have a lot of bands. You're more of a personalities girl. And by personalities, I mean Weird Al Yankovic.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I've been really digging the, I've never heard it said out loud, but the, Dana Harvey band. They're fun. If you like sea shanties.
You think it might be the Dana Harvey Band?
D-A-N-A? I don't know.
D-A-N-A?
Yeah.
You think that might be the Dana Harvey Band?
Could be anything.
Have you never met a Dana in your life?
No. Never. Well, but it's one of those things where it's like, oh, your name is Alicia. And they're like, no, it's Alicia, right? And you're like, oh, okay, cool. Like, it could be pronounced anything, okay? Just trying to be nice.
Mm-hmm. Welcome in, everyone. This is
Books.
a podcast where we mostly just sit and chat with our live chat. And
we just like to hang out with you
people listen to that and seem to like it. And
Sometimes
that's wild to me.
Sometimes we talk about books.
We do occasionally talk about books for 3 hours on Friday mornings.
Mm.
This is going to be the final episode of the Bands of Mourning. And it will be the final episode of March. As we will not be returning to book club next week. We will be in LA at WonderCon. And so we will return the following week doing what, mods? Can anyone tell us what we're reading next week? Please? But the point of that is we are not, that's going to be the last book club of April. And then hitting the ground running in May, we're returning with Rhythm of War.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, so we're going to be in Japan all of April. So, no consistent live book clubs. So sorry. We think we're probably going to post maybe some baby book clubs or some book thoughts while we're there. We want to kind of chill.
I want to read Fourth Wing.
Yeah. I know you want to do Percy Jackson. There's stuff that we want to get up onto the Nerdy Wordy Book Club channel. So if you're not subscribed to the Nerdy Wordy Book Club channel, that's where all that stuff is going to go.
Yeah.
But the lives will stay here because that's where memberships are going to be and stuff like that. Yeah, Secret History. That's what I thought it was.
We're reading The Arcanum Unbound, all of the Scadrial section. Interesting. Very, very interesting.
Okay, cool.
Before we get into this, someone did join Cryptic. Thank you for joining the Nerds Radiant
Thank
here.
you for that. Cheers.
Jimmer, sorry you're missing the live. And officially, Sam, I'm glad you find the thumbnail funny.
I don't get it.
You don't get it?
No.
How do you not know who he is?
I know he's a meme.
Yeah, but why is he a meme?
No idea.
Because aliens.
Okay.
And it's aliens. The answer is aliens.
is.
Someone wrote, I'm Ready Taylor says, where's the What Season 3 Episode 4 reaction video?
Bro, it dropped yesterday.
I think it actually dropped on Wednesday.
Okay, that's not our fault. It's supposed to drop Thursdays.
No, we still haven't had time to watch because of our charity event. So we
It's fine. We only raised $24,000.
Yeah, we did. Yes. Thank you to everyone who donated. Thank you to everyone who joined Charity Heart. It was an absolute blast getting to work with Critical Role and their team over there.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that finished this week. Honestly, y'all, our schedule's been a little messed up. If you're like, why are reactions and reviews kind of all over the place? Good point.
Yeah.
What's going on the main channel? Good point.
Yeah.
Good point.
You're right.
We had to take this opportunity to work with Critical Role and do the work of that. So everything else has been a little bit in flux, we know. But when we get back from Japan, we're going to go take a vacation, ease some of our burnout, and then when we get back from Japan, we're going to be in a better spot to do the next chapter of this company.
Yeah, we've got plans, kind of.
No, we actually don't.
We have talks of plans.
We literally have no plans.
No, we have like a direction, not like we're gonna do this thing, but like where we would like to see the channel head towards.
I think we have a better idea of where we would like to see the channel in 5 years than we do of where we would like to see it in July.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. I'm not gonna argue that.
Kushiel's Chosen in May. I'm gonna say this. I think that we will probably get like 2 weeks into Rhythm of War before we start Kushiel's Chosen.
Yeah, both of
But
those.
yes.
I'm assuming, anyways. I'm assuming Kushiel's Chosen and Rhythm of War are hefty, dense.
Yeah, I'd like to get going on one before. I don't want to start them the same week.
Yes. I would like to separate them a little bit.
Just a little, yeah.
I did love Kushiel's Dart so much. I really would like to do the trilogy with you guys for book club.
Alec, thank you for joining the Nerds Radiant. Another month, another Expanse book club endorsement.
Thank you. You know what? Fair.
Totally fair.
Fair. Yeah. It's on the list, I promise.
Yeah, and honestly, I know that it's been a long wait. I think that by pushing it down the road a little bit and getting a little further from the show, I think it will be good for the book club. I think that doing Wheel of Time right after season 1 and then reading it during and finishing it around season 2 was a weird experience because it was very comparison heavy. Mm-hmm. And I know people are like, yeah, but you're comparing the show to the book so much. I hear you. I get it. I understand why you're upset.
Yeah.
But I think that giving some breathing room between the show Expanse and the book's Expanse and allowing them to be two different experiences on the channel, I think will be good for us.
Yes. Yeah. No, I'm looking forward to it, though. There's a lot of book stuff that we want to do.
Yeah.
And so when I say, like, the direction of the channel, I am hopeful that we are going to be able to do more of those, cover more of the books that we want to.
Yeah.
I mean, perhaps not in 3-hour podcast form in chunks week to week, but even experimenting with like just a review of a book afterwards, or maybe like 2 parts, like we kind of stop halfway, that kind of thing.
Well, and part of that for me is that I want to, like, I got the new Hunger Games book yesterday, so I'm working on a review for that, hoping to have that up next week.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so
I thought we were doing that together.
I did not know that you wanted to read it.
I enjoyed the other ones.
Well, then we will see, but that won't go up on this channel. That will go up on the Nerdy Rooted Book Club channel.
Yeah.
And more of our book stuff is going to migrate over to that channel. This podcast probably won't. But like author interviews and things like that are probably going to end up being over there because they just don't land here.
Yeah, different audiences.
YouTube is like, hey, your channel is confusing, and we don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
And I get that.
Yeah.
And I think this is the problem with book club, right? Is that YouTube doesn't want to push it to booktube people because the videos that we make aren't book videos.
Yeah.
And so we live in a weird place where our channel does too many things.
Yeah.
And like the creator tools on the back end are literally like, just make other channels. Like don't do this.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh, okay.
The problem is that we don't want to separate memberships.
And that's where the issue for us is that there's a lot of people who are like happy to have 5 channels and 5 different memberships.
Yeah.
And I think that if we were the size of a company where I felt like we had enough content on each channel for members that it was worthwhile, that would make sense.
Yeah.
But we're not.
Yeah.
And
even if we started putting up audio reactions on the new channel, then we'd have to move the old ones over.
Yeah.
And it just gets really, really confusing.
Well,
so we're doing our best.
And like I was even hesitant about putting memberships on Nerdy Daily channel. But the reason why I did it was I was like, look, like I'm not going to get as much views when you're not there. Mm-hmm. And if I'm going to do this, I have to pay Brandon his rate. You know what I mean? Like I'm not going to. And I was like, those memberships are the only reason why that channel's viable. Mm-hmm. Whereas like a book club channel, like I don't need it to be viable. Like I'll edit book reviews myself.
Yeah.
So there's a lot less pressure on it in a way that like the reactions don't have.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think, it's going to be something that we're going to work on. So if you notice like little changes here or there, but we do want to try and keep memberships together just because there's too much involved there. There's too much member content.
All right. Z Tom says, it doesn't help the algorithm watches the first 30 minutes of book club and no book is being discussed yet. Z Club, we're at 9.5 minutes in. What show do you think you're watching?
We've totally never gone 30 minutes without talking about the book yet.
This isn't Bookborn.
Never happened.
This isn't Two to Ramble. This isn't a well-structured podcast where people with strong opinions sit down and eloquently deliver them to the audience. This is the Nerdy Wordy Book Club where I yell at you for 3 hours and you take it.
You're welcome. No. No, we appreciate you. Yeah.
Anyway, that's some of the behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah.
Blues Barros, thank you so much
Blues
for
Barros,
10
thank
gifted
you.
members.
Speaking of memberships, welcome all to the Nerds Radiant. You now have so many audiobooks you can go listen to, including
the end
final
of this book.
reveal at the end of this book.
Yeah, we'll get into that in a sec. I just want to say also, when we do come back from Japan, this show's going to change a lot. We've done this for like 4 years or something like that. Where we kind of constantly turn toward each other and have a book club where we're doing this all the time.
Yeah.
We're going to physically change the way we sit for this show because we both think it's bad for our backs. So we're going to we're going to have like a dedicated set for book club.
Yeah.
It won't be on these chairs. Hopefully, probably the first couple episodes in May will be, just because it'll take some time to build it. But
yeah,
the plan when we get back is to like have separate microphones, have a little bit more of a structured set for.
Yeah. It's gonna look a little bit different.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll do like raising money for the new set fund, and so you'll like get to like be a part of watching it all change. Maybe we'll do like a video of how we set it up and everything. But it's gonna be fun. It's gonna look.
Oh, I didn't think we were doing a fun for it. I thought we were just doing it.
No, we're gonna make it fun. We're gonna gamify it.
Okay.
It's gonna be great.
Sure.
I'll tell you how that works later. Don't worry about it. Shut up. Yeah, book club needs upgrades, guys.
I was just like, we're gonna buy some chairs and we're gonna sit in a corner, and you're like, no, we're gonna monetize our audience more than we already do.
No, it's gonna be a whole thing. There's gonna be a hype. We're gonna make sure it's gonna be fun. Guys, I'm excited. I know what I want the set to look like. It's gonna be so cute. It's gonna be comfy for us. It's gonna be hopefully better levels. I mean, I don't know. I feel like our
audio's. I want our audio to be so much better.
Yeah.
I want our audio to be pristine.
Pristine.
And it's not right now. So yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, now that we're 12 minutes in, fucking Z
Tom over
there. No, I'm so sorry. Let's talk about the book. This is a book.
It is.
That is. Oh boy, where to begin? On Bands of Mourning?
I know why this is called Mistborn Era 2 now. Because I was like, it's really interesting that there are no Mistborn anymore, right? But it's still called Mistborn Era 2.
Aren't any Mistborn. What?
Aren't there?
Nope.
Oh.
There's still no Mistborn.
Never mind.
Do you think that there's Mistborn at the end of this book?
Yeah.
Who?
Oh, I don't know. Kelsier.
Oh, he's definitely dead now, though, right?
Not counting on it. Not counting on it
Okay,
at all.
fair.
No.
Sure. That's fair. I thought you meant that, like...
Pretty sure he is surviving.
Yeah. I want to say a lot of nice things about this book.
Then we'll talk
in the chapter summary, but
at the end.
But this isn't the end. No. Can we start with why this book isn't great?
Okay, we're gonna start
for a very specific reason.
Start with the negative and then go into the positives.
Okay, but because here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I realized this week reading the book. I actually like the scene writing of the whole book.
Yeah.
I think that the moment to moment of Bands of Mourning, reading it is a very enjoyable and entertaining experience that was an easy ride. And
great characters.
I had a good time with it.
Mm-hmm.
Particularly the relationship growth between Steris and Wax, right?
Yeah.
I just think it's a really bad outline, and I think that it is flawed in the like foundational level on this is going to be the events of this book.
Right.
And then Brandon Sanderson, who's a very talented author, took a bad outline and still managed to make it a fun ride that I can't hate because it's not hateable. Mm-hmm. It's not. It's hard to say that it's like
there's nothing
bad.
to hate about it. No. Like,
but it is a book where Wax is gonna... first of all, the prologue doesn't connect to the rest of the book in the way that, like, the previous 2 prologues have.
True.
It is a moment in Wax's childhood where you learn that he was an Ark. But, like, the prologue doesn't come back in a big way. Mostly because the terrorists don't come back in a big way.
Yeah.
Then Wax gets married. Wax goes to his wedding. The Condra show up and tell him they need him to do something. He's like, nah, I'm getting married. Wayne breaks that up. So they go to the house. The Condra reveal a bunch of information to Wax and tell him that he has to go get on a train in 4 hours, which is just crazy. He gets on the train. There's a fight there. He gets off of the train. He goes to the hotel, goes to the party that the Condra sent him to. At this point, he has no more information at all.
And then an alien gives it to him.
And then an alien gives him the information, which leads him to get into another fight, at which point he has to leave town. They get in a carriage. They ride to a place that they didn't really discover. Like, the information was just kind of handed to them. There, they get into a fight
bunker
where Marcy befriends this, like, person from another continent.
Well, actually, no, not alien.
He has a way for them to get out, which leads them into a ship that takes them to another location where they get into a fight. Then then Milan goes.
They do Indiana Jones.
Rather than trying to solve any of the traps, Milan just throws herself on them, hurting herself over and over and over again. Mm-hmm. And then they get to a door that they can't get through. But don't worry, Suit shows up and he has the combination to the door.
Yep.
Because a guy. So then they get into another fight, and then the book's over. And it's in book 1, those moments where Wax was, like, staring at a piece of paper and, like, trying to solve a mystery was so interesting. And so to get to book 3, and it is now an outside force brings Wax on a silver platter the path to the next fight. Mm-hmm. It feels more like cutscenes between fights in a video game than it does Wax and Wayne and Marcy solving a mystery.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I get that.
And I think that's just why it doesn't feel as fun to be with Wax in it.
Yeah.
It feels
he's not
so
actually
easy.
figuring shit out, really.
Yeah. And Bryce says it was very Indiana Jones. The thing about Indiana Jones, though, is that Indiana in those movies is a genius at what he is doing, right? He is a archaeologist whose job is to know what's up.
Right. And Wax is not an archaeologist. He's a lawman who can't do lawman stuff.
But he's so out of his depth.
He's good at the fight. You know, like, he's like, once guns start firing, yes, he is very effective, right, and is in his element. But yeah, there wasn't really detective work going on here. No interrogations, like that kind of thing. It was a little bit being led by the nose through a plot.
And the big reveal isn't this, like, mystery that you can solve. Because you're like, oh,
how was I supposed to guess?
Like, there's no clue. And like, maybe Wax gets a coin and you're like, oh, that coin must be a medallion that people from another continent know how to... Like, if you guess that, that's fucking insane.
I thought it might be a stamp. Like, I was like, oh, Cosmere shit, but even that was
sure,
not correct.
And so I think that this book is... It is, in my opinion, like the lowest effort Brandon Sanderson book.
Yeah.
In that it trades in tropes more than he typically does. And the way in which he defies expectations in this book isn't led by our characters' discoveries.
Yeah.
Or their, like, intuition or their knowledge, but rather by the Cosmere just shows up and gives it to them.
Yeah.
And so I ultimately think, like, I think this book is really fun and well written and also kind of a disappointment at the same time. It is both of those things. Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely enjoyed the experience of reading this book, but I have no desire really to pick it up again. I feel like I got what I got out of it.
I would read it again for the Stairs Wax stuff.
That's about it.
Honestly, and here's the thing, like, the Stairs Wax stuff is so well done to me. And maybe it's just because my expectations of Brandon Sanderson writing romance are so low. But, like, it's so well done in this book that I genuinely love it.
Yeah.
Like, it is my favorite thing about it.
Yeah.
And
agree.
so I can't hate it, but yeah. It is just, it's like, what if Indiana Jones didn't know anything about archaeology and still did an Indiana Jones movie?
Yeah, kind of.
You know what
but
I mean?
also, didn't, kind of stumbled into the archaeology stuff, accidentally. It's so...
He does that,
it's
though.
It's so weird.
The difference is that when Indiana Jones stumbles into the archaeology accidentally, which does happen in those movies,
Yeah.
he as a character has the intellectual and educational ability to relate to the audience what it means, what the value of it is,
Okay.
what the purpose of these things are.
Yeah.
Right? It has that element of that you're watching a genius at the height of what they're doing relate to the audience what the perceived value of an interaction is. Because Wax just wants to save his sister. Wax doesn't care about any of this, really, right? He's not actually that interested in the adventure of it.
Yeah.
Whereas Indiana Jones loves the archaeology. He genuinely wants to know the answer at the end of the puzzle.
Right.
And so because he cares, it is easier as an audience member to get invested in him caring about the oh my god, we've got to solve these traps part of it.
Yeah.
Whereas for all of the elements of this book, even finding an airship in some way are just kind of inconveniences to Wax. Right? They are literally propelling him forward.
Yeah.
So much so that Wax gets a fucking coin that is this alien coin that he doesn't understand, puts it in his pocket, and straight up forgets about it immediately.
Yep.
Literally tips a bartender with the magic coin, this great, because he just forgets about it.
Well, no, what happened was he got the coin from Hoyt, didn't look at it closely, then tipped the bartender with it, and the bartender was like, "Excuse me, sir."
Yeah, that's true. But he still forgets about it, and then later on in the book is like, "Oh yeah."
Yeah.
And so his lack of interest in that half of the book makes it a little bit harder for me to be 100% invested.
Yes.
And yes. Arzu says tanking the traps is kind of funny. It's very funny.
It is funny. It is just not super interesting.
It's just not super interesting. It happens off page.
And I get that
and it doesn't go anywhere.
Well, no. The point is, later on, when they get fucked over, that Milan is so busted up and broken, she can't help. The bones are literally, shattering in pieces. So I get why you had to take out your, super strong, immortal person for the fight, so that the other characters could, get shit done.
Sure, but even in that, they still, Suit and Mercy still have the goo to stop Milan, right? I don't know how they have the goo to stop Milan. I don't know how they have the anti-Chondra goo. Or sorry, Telson.
Telson. I mean, it's aliens.
Sure, I get that it is aliens.
I'm just...
That doesn't explain to me how they have the goo that Tensoon and that his team made.
They have a Chondra on their side.
I mean, I guess Pa'al might have stolen some of it. Oh no, Pa'alm had it in the last book. No, that's true.
I didn't think that Pa'alm was working with the set. I want to ask a question. Pa'alm was doing...
Suit said that they were.
I thought Suit was whatever Pa'alm is doing actually suits our interest, so we're not going to do anything about it.
No, he was saying he didn't like what she was doing, but other people in the set were a fan of it, so he was biding his time on it, but the set in general was working with Pa'alm. Suit just wasn't a fan of her methods.
I think I misunderstood. I didn't think that they were working together.
No, they definitely were.
Okay.
Yeah, no, Chat's right. They stabbed the Pa'alm, the Chondra on the statue in the last book.
Yeah, I thought that was all Pa'alm stuff. I thought Pa'alm was kind of adjacent to the set.
Yeah.
They wanted to accomplish similar things, but they weren't actually working together.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's an interesting book.
It's really fun. Like, it is a very fun book.
Yeah,
right?
I feel so weird about it because.
Why do you feel weird about it?
Well, I just feel weird because the moment to moment, like you said, like there are things that are like so enjoyable about it, and then
it's very fun.
Looking at it as the bigger picture is like, so yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's get into it.
Yeah.
Chapter 22. Or not. Joe DeCanizaro, thank you for that super chat.
Thank you for that super chat.
Bad outline, but enjoyable is how I describe Era 2 as a whole. It's very popcorn Friday night snacks while Netflixing type of series, which I find fun. Yeah, I get that. I didn't feel that way about Alloy of Law.
No,
but
and
I do feel that way about Shadows of Self in this.
Where we've come from Alloy of Law versus to like here is so wild to me, and well, I made a joke about it being called Mistborn Era 2 when there's no Mistborn in it.
Yeah.
But I feel like I should have fucking known that it would be Cosmere shit just by calling it Mistborn Era 2, because otherwise, why? Why call it that?
Yeah, well,
like,
I didn't expect aliens. So here's the thing about Alloy of Law, though. I think one of the reasons why Alloy of Law works and the last book and this book maybe don't as much for me is what I was saying about Wax not caring, right? Wax is deeply invested in Miles. He has a personal relationship with him. Their like back and forth is very interesting.
Yeah.
Shadows of Self, Wax has a huge interest in Ba'alm. He just doesn't know it. Until the reveal is that Wax should have cared more the whole time.
Yeah.
But he didn't in the moment.
Yeah.
Because it's like, this is a fucking adventure I have to be on. And then at the end he's like, oh shit, that's my fucking... And then this book he's like, I just want to save my sister. I don't actually care about all the rest of this shit. Yeah. And then his sister turns on him and like... So I think that part of it is that Wax's like depression or PTSD around like losing Leslie has created a character that gets a little detached from the narrative that he's in. Yeah. And I don't know that is the most successful element of these books.
For sure.
Because as the books get further away from being from him actually getting to be a detective, I'm more interested in what Marcy is doing because she cares.
Yeah.
And Wax just being like in the fights, but it's not really wanting to be doing any of this shit. I get it. It's the Lethal Weapon joke of like, I'm too old for this shit. Like, that's funny, but it's funnier in a movie. In a book, to like spend so much time in the POV of a character that like doesn't actually want to do this isn't the most engaging, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's like outline problems, not writing problems, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like big picture stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chapter
22.
Marcy and Alec.
Have a little chit chat.
Yeah.
We get some information about the masks.
The hunters grow their masks?
Yeah, which sounds weirdly like Parshendi again.
I know.
I'm like, what? Wow, okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I am curious if we're going to... I'm so Lost Metal, right? I'm so curious how much of a time gap happens between this book and Lost Metal, because I feel like introducing all these mask things here, only for it to not... I really thought this was going to matter in this book. I thought like when they got to the temple, the understanding the different masks was going to be part of solving the puzzle of getting through it.
Oh yeah.
So this has to be set up for the culture they interact with to fight the aliens in Lost Metal, right?
I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's the back half of this book is very exposition heavy. Like until the Telson is evil reveal, they just kind of fly on an airship and it's just dumping information on the audience that doesn't become relevant in this book. And so I feel like all the information that's dumped here has to be relevant in Lost Metal, or else it was just like, there's a chunk between the getting the airship and the temple fight. There's just a chunk of this book that is just shoving information at the audience because it's cool world building.
Yeah.
And I don't want to believe that that's what he was doing. I want to believe that this is all setting stuff up for the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they talk about there are masks that are like unpainted and like super basic.
Yeah.
Which people have to wear if they have offended
Jagenmir.
Yeah, I'm like, is it...
Shocking me.
Is it Sazed, I guess? Because they say
No,
it's
they
for
say...
ruin and preservation, but ruin and preservation are one now.
No, the Yagenmir are people.
No, it's Yagenmir is their name for ruin and preservation. The gods that create and destroy, but they can't do anything without one another.
Oh. I thought the Yagenmir were like their Allomancers.
No.
I might have had that wrong.
Yeah, no, that's their name for ruin and preservation.
We learn about Et metal.
A new metal?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a metal that powers ships, but also if it gets wet, explodes. That is a real thing, right? We have that. Rob Ross, you know a lot about metal. There is a metal that, like, if you put water on it, it combusts, right?
That seems really dangerous because it rains.
Well, oh, sodium.
What? Wait, are you telling me salt explodes?
Pure sodium. Interesting.
What the fuck?
Yeah. No, I knew this was a real thing. Everything in the first section of the periodic table? Like hydrogen? Oh, no. You mean like sideways, not that way, right? Sodium is not salt.
Yeah, basically.
Nope.
Yeah.
Put pure sodium on your food, see what happens.
It's why it says daily sodium intake on the nutritional information.
Yeah, put pure sodium on your food and see how it goes. Sugar is highly explosive? What? Cool. Can you make a bomb out of sugar?
Yeah, salt is sodium chloride. That's what I said. Salt is sodium. Yeah.
No. Okay. But the chloride in that sentence does something.
Yeah, it's like an extra added bit. You know, like we iodize our salt.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Guys, at some point, Clarice is going to kill me by attempting something scientific to make a cosplay. And it's probably going to be that she's going to build a magnet large enough that she's going to, like, destroy our house.
If that existed, well, you know what? It probably does exist. If I could get my hands on that, I'd be rich.
What would you do with it?
I don't know. I'd sell it. Probably.
Step 3, profit. Mythbusters made all their explosives using sugar. Very cool. Very cool.
That's insane. Okay, yeah. Cool.
And then Alec is like, yeah, so anyway, we have, like, really cool technology and stuff. Also, like, you guys have a lot of resources, so we might invade. And Mercy's like, whoa.
And Alec's like, well, not me. There's, like, other people, you know. They might just be like, wow, you guys don't fly? Fucking noobs. So...
at this point, I'm like, Sazed, why weren't you setting up diplomatic relationships between these countries?
That seems like it would be a great idea.
Yeah, I'm not saying that you have to intervene. I'm just saying that, like, you could have, like, let them know before they had all this technology that they existed, so that they could have, like, developed simultaneously.
Well, no. See, the problem is if these people are, like, really, I don't know, violent and power hungry, and says that, like, introduce them, they might be like, nah, fuck that, we're taking everything.
Yeah, maybe. You're right. So then, she's like, oh, you know what? You're fucking freezing, dude. Because Alec's people cannot handle the cold at all.
Yeah, they are incapable of retaining heat. That is me.
Yeah, so Clarus is from the south of Scadrial.
Yeah.
I don't know how she got here, what portal she came through.
Yeah.
But...
I've also grown into my mask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank
Can't
God.
get it off.
Thank God. If you see what's under that...
Don't. It's my morning shed.
And then Alec... So then they switch. So Alec puts on the heat medallion, and Marcy puts on the connection medallion and tries to speak Alec's language. But that's not... Okay,
we're going to get into it.
I know. Look, I like a lot of the magic of this book, and I actually... The medallions grew on me in this back third. They're an interesting concept. I really don't like the idea that because they are somewhere near the land where Marcy's people live, that the medallions are able to speak Marcy's language.
I love that the medallions recognize sovereign countries and political borders. You know what I mean?
Because it isn't where people actually live, because they're flying over mountains where nobody lives.
Yeah.
So
the medallions are like, okay, we're going to look at this map. And we're 100 kilometers away from Alec's people, but we're 99 kilometers away from Marcy's people. So I think we're gonna go with Marcy's people for that one.
Yeah, if they were flying over a city that had a bunch of people in it, then I could understand the medallion is connecting to the... I still wouldn't agree with it because I just don't think this is how language works on any level. But I would still... Because I still don't like the Dalinar version either, right? Like, I want to be clear. Like, every time they magically learn a language in the Cosmere, I've rolled my eyes. But the explanation that this only works because they are over the mountain that nobody lives in, it just doesn't make any sense to me. It's like, you can't fly into an uninhabited area and then be like, well, this is your land. And it's like, well, no, it isn't, though. Like, it isn't their land. It's nobody's land. The only people who have ever lived here are Alex people.
Yeah.
Right? Like, out the temple, where the only people that have ever lived in this mountain range are the people who made the temple. And so his language would have more of a tie to this place than Maris's, because her people don't live here.
Yeah.
Because you can't say it's, like, based on borders, because borders aren't real.
Unless this is the mountain that, like, Rashek had to climb in Mistborn Era 1, like, before Mistborn Era 1, which then should then be the ancient Terrace language. And so I just, like, was like, sure, whatever you say. It does not make any, like, logical sense.
It could have just been... I just think that it would have worked better for me if the medallion was, like, it understands the person you're talking to.
Yeah.
And so it connects to that person on the spiritual plane and you learn that person's language.
Yeah.
What would have been a better explanation to me than these medallions work on whatever soil the largest number of people believe to be their land.
Which is hilarious because they're flying. But
well, but it also gets into, like, a weird, like, concept of colonialism.
But also,
that, like,
people are saying that it's like what land people think belongs to them. But what if multiple countries think that this place of land, like, who is it? Is it fucking Canada and, like, Denmark or something? We, like, keep, like, trading out flags on this, like, tiny little island or something. Like, just, like, shit like that. Whereas, like, is it yours? Is it ours? Will we ever agree on it? Who fucking knows? Like... It's so weird.
But like, but this is my question, right? So I'm assuming in Greenland they speak Danish. I'm assuming. Probably a lot of people there speak English.
Yeah.
But if enough Americans believe in Trump's idea that we're going to take Denmark, or that we're going to take Greenland from Denmark.
Sure.
At what point do the medallions switch over to English? Because of the, like, Republicans' belief that Greenland should be their land. Is
it like Tinkerbell? Like, I do believe in fairies? Like, you have to just, like, will it into existence?
If enough Republicans clap at the same time, Greenland will speak English through the medallions.
Oh, my God. Yeah. I don't know. Like, if I were to put on a medallion and I would, like, walk across the land and I was like, this is mine, actually. Now, this, I believe that this belongs to me. So fuck you. Fuck your sovereignty.
Like, can you just imagine, like, Lewis and Carol, like, walking across Canada? With their fucking, like, raccoon skin hat, being like...
Lewis Carroll?
No, Lewis and Clark? Lewis and Clark.
Oh, it was like my great uncle?
Just being like, this land is ours now, and all of the, like, indigenous Canadians being like, nope.
No, actually no.
But their medallions stopped working because, like, the intense belief of these white men.
Look, there is nothing quite as powerful as the audacity and intense belief of a white man who is overconfident. Yeah.
I just wish it was like I just wish it was like interpersonal connection. But making it about the, like, land that you're on felt very odd to me.
Yeah, and, like, I know, like, you can draw maps with borders on it, but unless you draw that border on the ground, like, I'm not gonna know which province I'm in, right?
Yeah.
Like, I need a physical representation of, like, this is the line.
Yeah.
Because if it has to do with what my brain thinks the line is, my brain doesn't understand where that line actually exists in reality.
Well, and the explanation also would have worked for me better if they were in a town. But because they were specifically in a location that was described to us as uninhabited. And that was what made the description weird for me, is that Wax is like, yeah, these are mountains near where we live, but they're not ours. Like, we don't live in them.
Yeah.
Nobody lives in them.
Apples are a shade. Okay, I understand it's about people's perception, but if I were to walk from here to Quebec, I don't know where the line on the ground is of where the border is. And so it can't be my perception of it because I don't know. I have no idea the moment that I cross into Quebec.
But like, well, sure. And like, when do you start? Like, yeah. And also, like, if you go from Quebec into, not so much between Quebec and Ontario, because that line is a little bit harder, but if you go east out of Quebec into the Maritimes,
sure,
there is a period of time driving where your radio goes from Quebec French to a language that is unintelligible before you get to Newfie English.
Yeah.
And that unintelligible mix of French and English that you only get for about 6 hours of driving.
Like 100 kilometers.
It is impossible. I speak English and French. Mm-hmm. I've spoken both of these languages since I was 8. Mm-hmm. I cannot figure out what the fuck they're talking about. Mm-hmm. And I know both of the languages that they're speaking simultaneously. It is a wild place. Mm-hmm. Wonderful people. Like, I love that they have their very unique culture. I'm not shitting on it, but it is truly, it is the closest I've ever been to, like, hearing English and not understanding it. Like, it's a language. I'm like, I know some of these words. I feel like I should be able to follow this, and I just can't.
Yes.
But
you are all arguing that it is a collective perception. It doesn't matter unless there is an actual thing drawn on the ground that people can collectively be like,
not true.
That's the line. Because in someone's brain, they're like, well, this tree is the line. And then in someone else's brain, they're like, well, that bush is the line.
I'm not gonna lie, that's not a good argument.
No, but
because all borders are imaginary.
I know, but if you are looking at a border and you don't know it, how does the medallion know which side of this invisible line that you're on?
I don't care about that as much.
Like, I do.
That part of it doesn't bug me.
It's not about you. This is about me. I don't understand.
I know, but that's an argument that cannot go anywhere in a conversation. So I hear you.
That's why it doesn't make sense.
I hear you. My problem with this is that they don't view these mountains as theirs. They view these mountains as a place no one goes.
Yeah.
That's my problem with it.
Yeah.
Like, the cognitive perception isn't like that there is a line somewhere. It's that these mountains are just a thing that they know exists.
Yeah.
But because they don't live there, mm-hmm. people in the basin aren't like, those are our mountains. They're like, oh yeah, nobody lives there. Those fucking mountains, uninhabitable.
Yeah.
And so that is why the cognitive perception thing is weird to me, because it's like, yeah, it does matter.
It should be Rashek's language from before Mistborn Era 1.
No, it should be Alec's language. Because the people who built the temple there spoke Alec's language.
Yeah, and they spent a chunk of time there to build the temple.
And they like, the closest, and I guess they're all dead, so their language is dead here. I don't know, man. I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I just thought it was very funny.
It's fun to argue about, but reading this, I was like, yeah, sure, man. Whatever.
Down below, suits people. Chapter 23. They fly over suits people.
Wait, I'm so sorry. Epilogue says people don't live in the Rocky Mountains, which is not true.
That's just not a fact at all.
Completely untrue.
In fact, so many people live in the Rocky Mountains.
Cities in those mountains.
And people do live on top of those mountains. People live on top of those mountains year round.
Having lived there,
people live all over the top of those mountains.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like, literally. Go to Breckenridge. Go to Winter Park. Go to... I'm trying to think of, like...
There's a gondola that I took...
I am not real.
To the top of the mountains.
People... Yeah. You could... I've worked on top of those mountains in towns where people lived.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I'm not saying that there's a person on top of every single mountain, Solar. That's a bad faith argument. But people do live on top of those mountains.
Judah, thank you for that super chat. The connection investiture has to connect to something, so it reaches for the closest cognitive population, and the basic basin is the closest geographically. But I thought, okay, wait, no, you said that they had to believe that this place belongs to them and is part of them. So
But here's the problem then. Connection literally is the power of colonialism. You could literally colonialize your way into your language being the magic language of a place.
You put out some, like, pamphlets.
You just go kill the locals.
Well, you kill
take
the locals,
over,
yeah.
And their language is magically erased from the world because now you are the connection to the place.
Yeah.
Even though your connection to that place is that you murdered everyone who was there.
Yeah. It's like, you know, in Civ when you just annex the city-states and you're like, fuck you for being there.
I just, like, it's very odd to me. Just making it about the land, I felt very strange. In my opinion, is very strange.
Yeah.
That's all. That's all it is. I get why it works. I totally get that. I understand that it works because they're the closest people. I don't like setting up the magic in that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I think we've talked this to death, and I could talk about this for 3 hours. I will argue about it forever, but we have to move on. They fly over Edwarn's exposition.
Yep.
And Telson is just so angry. She really wants to kill him. Because Telson is a good guy, definitely not a bad guy.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be the reveal that I immediately was, like, worried about them doing. And then was pleasantly surprised and was, like, enjoying the fact that they didn't do the obvious thing that Telson had been turned evil. That won't come back to bite me in the ass later.
Well, technically, she wasn't turned evil. She was the original evil.
Sure. I just mean the, like, trope be like, I found you. Oh, no, you were evil the whole time?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, we did end up doing the trope.
We did it.
This book leans into... I think that doing the Indiana Jones thing for Brandon Sanderson would have worked better if he had taken the tropes of that and played with them instead of taking the tropes of that and just done them.
Yeah.
Like, what if I took all of the, like, movie tropes that are synonymous with this genre and I just did those tropes?
Yeah.
Is less interesting to me than I'm going to write a book that, like, has the adjacent things to those tropes, but I'm going to make it the Cosmere version. Mm-hmm. This book didn't feel so much like the Cosmere version. It felt like I'm just going to... And that's why I said at the beginning of this podcast, like, it's the lowest effort Brandon Sanderson book. Not because it's bad. He's still an incredible writer who can entertain the shit out of people.
Yeah.
But because it is like, oh, I'm just going to... The easy trope that the audience already knows, that's going to be the thing that happens.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they... look down on Suit's people, and they decide not to shoot at them because Wax is like, let's not, I guess.
Yeah, but Wayne does kick his bag out of the ship.
Well, yeah. He gets all tangled up with Telson and then kicks his bag, which just smashes a person in the head.
Yeah.
But they get to the temple. At this point, I was, yeah. Never mind.
Okay. They find the original ship that's got all the corpses of the people that tried to bomb...
The hunters?
Yeah. Tried to bomb the temple.
Who have
They're all, like, frozen to death.
Nuke.
Yeah.
They have a nuke.
Maybe? I don't know. It might just be a stick of dynamite. They say it's an explosive that can level a city, but...
They have a nuke. Like, look, I love Allomancy.
It's the atomic bomb.
Allomancy is great. Okay? Allomancy is a fantastic thing. But when your enemies have a nuke, you're gonna lose that fight.
Who's gonna lose?
Fucking the Basin is gonna lose. If the other side can build nukes... And you have pistols and waxilium latrium.
Yeah. They literally have flying ships and nukes. Yeah.
Like, when Sazed was like, what's coming? He wasn't talking about the Cosmere. He was talking about the fact that the other side has a nuke.
Yeah. It's World War II. They just be dropping bombs from the sky. Like,
it reminds me of, like, back when I was playing StarCraft pretty heavily. And I would go up against somebody who didn't understand early game resource management.
Yeah.
And I would roll into their base with, like, carriers, like 15 minutes into a game. And they would be, like, in phase 2 building hydralisks. And I'm like, this isn't... You did not do the early game right. You do not have enough Zerglings. this fight is not going to go your way, my guy. I am already in phase 3, and you are nowhere. You have no defense. You have nothing. I have a nuke. And yeah, I just was like, fuck, man. They're so screwed.
Yeah.
Steris better be the greatest fucking negotiator in the world. Because the only thing standing between the basin and destruction is Steris being like, let's negotiate contracts.
Yeah.
Literally.
Thank God for Steris. Steris should have been the main character. Like, everything would be so much worse if Steris wasn't the best.
Like, Wax is, like, puffing up his chest as if, like, we'll get to it, but he's like, you're negotiating with me. And I'm like, my guy, they have a nuke.
Yeah.
You're negotiating with them long term.
Yeah.
You have the upper hand for today, and that is the only time you will ever have the upper hand ever again with people who have giant city-leveling bombs. I'm so sorry.
I guess they can talk to God.
God is fucking useless.
He's busy. He's not useless. He's just busy.
Anyway. Arzu, thank you for joining the Nerds Radiant. Steris is and will always be queen of anything she does. Truly.
Absolutely. Thank you for 27 months.
I would trust Steris with the nuclear codes. I agree with that.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
More than the people who currently have them, so yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, nobody. No, wait, we fired those people.
Oh, yeah, nobody's got them. They didn't want their jobs back.
Dream Shake Genius says, to be fair, Wax is kind of a nuke in and of himself. No, he's not.
No, not enough of one.
No, he's not at all a nuke. Wax
is a weapon.
Wax is, yeah, in the same way that, like, Captain America is a weapon. Guess what Captain America can't stop? Nukes.
Yeah.
You can't do anything about him. I love Captain America. He's a great guy. He can't stop a nuke.
Maybe Vin could stop a nuke.
No, she couldn't.
Yeah, if it's metal, you just, like, fly it away somewhere.
You don't... I'm sorry. No. At the point where you have a city-leveling bomb, your ability to push metal around is inconsequential.
Why? Isn't a bomb made out of metal? If
it's made out of a metal that you can push.
Aluminum bombs!
Aluminum bombs. All I'm saying. Anyway. Sure.
Blue Sparrows, thank you for the super chat. Steris is best girl.
Absolutely.
We will not accept any other rhetoric in this chat.
Anyway. They find the nuke, and then they go up to the building, and then they
find a statue.
Yeah. And the statue is of the Lord Ruler with one spiked eye.
The Lord Ruler.
Yeah.
With one spiked eye. Super weird, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Why has he got a spike in there? It's very strange. He's got a spear. Definitely the Lord Ruler's weapon of choice. The spear.
Mm-hmm.
With an aluminum head on it that Wayne immediately steals.
Yes.
Like, immediately. It's like, oh my god, wow, it broke. Wow, that's so crazy.
Yeah.
It would suck if we didn't take it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Absolutely. And then they go inside and they start going...
Wait. Code 76 is right. Shallan could stop a nuke.
Yeah, I guess she could... Yeah, I guess if she could get close enough before it goes off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Shallan is like, hey, what if...
Huh, that's an interesting idea.
What if you were a stick? I met this stick once who really liked being a stick. I think you're going to love it.
Riven Hex says Cap stopped quite a number of nukes in the first movie, didn't he? No, he stopped a plane.
Yeah.
The nukes were not ready to go. The plane was flying to where they needed to be. Captain America, while alone on a plane, can crash a plane.
Yeah.
That happens to have nukes in it.
Yeah.
That is not the same thing as stopping a nuke. That is just stopping planes.
There you go. Yeah.
If Captain America can stop a plane with nukes on it, absolutely.
Yeah.
Once the nukes have been shot, it's kind of over.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Wow, yeah. I guess Shallan could... the question is, like, what's the range on her... It would be a weird timing thing.
Yeah.
But, it's possible.
Yeah. Yeah, it is possible.
Yeah.
The stars would need to align. But it could happen.
Absolutely. Kaladin could maybe stop a nuke.
You think so?
Yeah, I mean, because he could... Here's the thing.
Sticks it to the plane.
Modern day nukes where we can, like... Because nukes don't actually have to, like, hit the ground, right? Like, we detonate them in the air.
Sure.
And, like, you know, we have a lot of nukes now that the damage we do with them wouldn't be as... We intentionally make them less bad, where we detonate them high in orbit so that they do, like, crazy damage, but they don't kill everything and, like, ruin everything. Yeah. And so, we've always done that, yeah. So, Kaladin could reasonably fly up, do, like, a fucking 100 lashings up, and just get it high enough that it would do less damage. I think he would probably die in the process. But...
Yeah, maybe.
Like, Kaladin's ability to fly to the nuke and...
Unless it was during a high storm, because he just heals with the stormlight, like, that's always there. You know what I mean?
Can he go that fast? I don't know.
Who knows? Who fucking knows?
I don't know, man. I'm not an expert on nukes. I just don't think many of the Cosmere characters could stand up to one.
Well, no, a lot of the Mistborn characters. There's a couple Cosmere characters, maybe, but...
Kaladin is Pell. Fuck off, Absalom. I'm still mad about Pell. That's One Piece, don't worry about it. It's also like the nuke at the end of The Dark Knight Rises. It's one of... God, I for how much I love Batman Begins and The Dark Knight, I hate The Dark Knight Rises. That movie pisses me off. And I watch it again and again to be like, maybe I'm wrong. Like, maybe I just missed, maybe I've been pedantic. And every time I watch a movie, I'm like, no, I fucking hate this movie. It makes me so mad at every step because none of it makes any fucking sense. And then people are like, no, it's just as good as The Dark Knight. And I'm like, no, it's fucking not. It's nonsense. Could Hoyd beat a nuke? Hoyd can't do fucking shit, okay?
Yeah, Hoyd deliberately doesn't interfere.
Yeah.
So who knows?
Except when he does. We need to move on. They go into the temple, and they're like, wait, what the fuck? We, have to do a lot of traps.
Yeah, there's dead bodies here killed by traps. So crazy.
And so Milana's like, I'm gonna break every bone in my body.
Milana's like, hold my beer. Chapter 24 is with Marcy. She's got Raylor's spike.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think it's so interesting that the Khandra, like, no, we can't touch each other's spikes, but, like, Marcy's like, like, which I guess doesn't matter in the same way. I'm not really sure why. But she's, like, thinking about all the people who got murdered so that this spike could give Raylor sentience.
And then she walks over to her sister and is like, Ceres, what you doing? And Ceres is like, I'm giving us all a number for how useful we are on this mission.
Yeah.
I have given myself a 7.
Yeah.
The number is out of 100.
Yes, out of 100, yes.
Marcy's like, you're more useful than a 7.
Yeah, 7%. That's, you know.
Even Marcy's like, that's maybe a little bit too cruel to
yourself.
yourself.
You were great at the party, girl. You know, you've got, you do stuff, okay? You got this.
Oh, man. Yeah. I love this because it reminded me of like the bounty system from One Piece. Because they get bounties from the world government because they're wanted pirates, right?
Yeah. Right.
And there's just there's so much humor around like where they rank, particularly on Chopper's bounty. And
gotcha.
It like she says this, but obviously it's not true. Like her perception of herself is so bad.
Yeah, Steris is like, oh no, I'm really useless and boring. And you're like,
wow. Meanwhile, Wax is like, God, she's fucking amazing.
Yeah, I love that girl.
Not yet. He hasn't said that yet.
No,
but he will.
No.
Yeah. Just this cracked me up. I loved it.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
I could see myself being like, what percentage of the show is good because of me? It's not much. Oh fuck, man.
People are here for the rants, which you're very good at.
I don't think they are.
No, they have said. Chat, are you saying Chad is a liar?
Yep.
Wow. All right.
Jack Hughes.
That's them fighting words. I don't know what you're gonna... Are you gonna take that line down?
Joshua says, talk about imposter syndrome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not even like an imposter syndrome because she's not... she's not trying to pretend that she's good at it. right? And that's what I think is so funny about it.
Wait, what?
So like,
you mean trying to? That has nothing to do with imposter syndrome.
well, I mean, yeah, it's part of it, right? Is like the imposter syndrome is that like you're doing the thing but feeling like you're
You are not qualified to be in the position that you are currently in.
right, but but this isn't like imposter syndrome in that sense, because she isn't qualified at all. She just does it anyway.
Only politically savvy member.
Oh,
and they
for that side of it, absolutely, yeah.
like like everyone kind of covers their own thing, right? And she covers the social aspect of it.
I just mean anytime she picks up a gun, it's not like she's like picking it up and great at it. She picks it up as like, I am terrible at this, but I'm gonna fucking do it anyway because it's fun.
Sure,
like
yeah.
Steris's understanding of her own strengths is high. She's in a book where being politically savvy doesn't really matter.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like because this book is just action scenes with like a video game cutscene in between to get to the next action scene. Steris is going, we haven't solved shit. We haven't had to do the people, magic beings, either from the past or from another continent or from God or Hoyd from the Cosmere, keep showing up and just pointing us in the direction of the next action scene.
Yeah.
I don't need to be. I'm not good for this mission, but I'm gonna be.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about her.
I'm gonna make it work.
Like, Steris is the only one acknowledging, like, we haven't done any detective work. You guys are just fighting things in different places, and I am here?
Yeah, I am present and accounted for.
And Wax is like, I don't need you to come into, like, the village in, like, the last section. And she's like, yeah, no, of course not.
That makes sense.
Like, I think imposter syndrome would be more if he was like, and she's like, no, you're gonna need me, even if she, like, we all need to do this together. But she's not in that headspace.
No,
she's
that's
like,
the opposite. Imposter syndrome is when you are, like, good at something and in a position where like people are acknowledging your abilities at that thing and you don't feel like you belong in the room with people who are good at that thing.
Right, but my point is that Steris isn't doing that. Steris knows what she's good at.
I know, but whatever you just said was not imposter syndrome. So I just wanted to...
Sorry, the point that I'm making is that Steris isn't doing that. Steris isn't like good at all of this stuff and like down on herself.
Yeah.
And this is what she kind of says to Mercy here. She's saying, no, I'm not saying I'm useless. I
give myself a 7.
Guys,
not a 0.
You keep fighting people. And
Yeah.
I am not good at this.
Yeah.
I'm not useful on this mission.
Yeah.
Like, I think if they were in town, like, running the votes for Elendel, I think that she would bump her number up.
Sure, yeah.
Right?
I mean, it would have
like...
been fucking a nuke war without her at the end of this book.
Yeah.
You know? Thank God for Steris. But
yeah.
She does say that she loves Wax. Her and Mercy actually have a moment.
Oh, is that the chapter?
Yeah. They sit down and it's really sweet because obviously Mercy and Steris are like very different people.
Mm-hmm.
But they are both still human. And they're able to have, you know, that moment of connection and understanding.
And they're sisters, like, you know. And I think that, you know, even if they hadn't been estranged by their weird-ass father and, you know, cultural things, I think that they're, you know, they can connect on things. And I think that this scene is really beautiful.
Yeah.
Partially because Steris' love for what Wax comes purely from the way that he makes her feel. Right? Like, there's so much in that conversation from her perspective that is about, like, you know, this person who... Steris is a woman who has always struggled with experiencing emotion with other people, right? Where, like, that's been sort of this barrier.
Yeah.
And so she feels like she bores other people. Because I think that she feels bored in those interactions. Because there's just this complete lack of connection. And so I think that Wax coming in and providing her with these experiences that draws so much emotion and feeling out of her.
Yeah.
It is this electric energy that she is, you know, surrounding herself with all the time. And she's so open to. And I love that for her. And I love the way that she reflects on that and the way she shares that with Mercy here.
Yeah.
I really do. Like, I've ragged on Brandon Sanderson for how he writes romance. A lot, right? Even the Stormlight stuff that I do think is better is still very fast and very, like, it just feels very easy.
Yeah.
This relationship was harder than it was more work for the characters to get to.
Yeah.
But was written in a way where like the build up to it felt very real to me.
Yeah.
And I think that it's the most successful of Brandon Sanderson's romantic writings.
Yeah. I think that it is more interesting to me to read.
Yeah.
People getting to know one another and discovering and discovering feelings like through that all and underneath of it all, as opposed to like, damn, that person's hot and they said like 3 words and it just like, you know, changed my whole perspective. Like,
well, and like it goes back to the moment at the end of the last book, right, where he's weeping and she just doesn't say anything. She's just there, and like there's so much power in. There's so much power in that moment, and I think that that moment really is the building block that this whole book is built on top of.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just it is. I genuinely really enjoyed that, and like I don't love this book, but I would read it again to experience that journey.
Yeah.
I don't really care about the like fighting, like not that I don't care about it, but
there fighting are some cool action scenes.
Yeah, it's good Brandon Sanderson fighting, but there's a lot. I can read other books for that.
Sure.
The thing I read this book for would be that relationship growth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And then
Suit shows up with a parlay flag.
Yeah. Yeah. Wax. We cut over to Wax. He's pulling Milan out of a trap. She's hurt. She's pretty fucked up. And then they get to door, and they're like, "Oh, fuck. Well, can't do anything here." So they go back.
Pretty much.
And this is where the like, this is one of those times where I would have found the book more interesting if Wax had, through what he learned throughout this book, been able to solve a puzzle here.
Yeah.
Some element of it. Something from the airship leads him to you know what I mean? Like, this is where, instead of him being like, all right, Milan threw herself at every single trap, and now we're at the door that, let's go back and talk to the others. That's it. Good showing, gang.
Yeah.
So they go back, though, and Suit is like, I can get you through that door. And it's like, oh, great. Yeah. That's awesome, because...
Gotta work with the bad guy.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that you can't have this be a part of it as well, right? I'm saying that, like, having it be that, like, set... I think that if Suit had one piece and Wax had the other piece, and they had to put those pieces together, that would have been a more satisfying version of this than Suit having the piece and Wax just needing him. And not solving anything himself.
Well, here's the thing. If Wax had solved this whole thing earlier... then this would have gone very differently.
What do you mean solve this whole thing earlier?
Well, that the bands were outside. Because, like, I told you this. I was like, I had a feeling.
Mm-hmm.
I had a feeling. I was like, a fucking trap temple? Like, for real?
I still disagree with that.
With what?
I think that, like, the idea that the people that might come rob this... temple wouldn't take the big aluminum spearhead out front is just such flawed, like...
No, I'm not saying that they wouldn't take the aluminum spearhead. I'm saying that if you show up and there's $50,000 outside, right? And like $100 million inside.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm gonna go get the 100 million and then take the 50 on my way out. I'm not gonna settle for the 50,000 that's outside. I'm just gonna... I want it all. Like, if someone had showed up and been like, oh, well, there's a little bit of aluminum in here instead of the power of God. I'm going to stick with this bit of aluminum.
I understand what you're saying, but if the goal is to protect the bands of mourning so that they're still there when the Lord Ruler comes back for them...
It's to mentally trick people who are showing up.
Again, that doesn't save the bands of mourning. That doesn't make them... That doesn't make the bands of mourning... more or less likely to still be there. Like, temple raiders aren't gonna just leave the spearhead there. And so the bands of mourning would still be lost.
But they would have to get through the entire temple.
Right, but I'm saying that if your goal is to stop people from... It is to ensure that the Bands of Mourning are still going to be here when Kelsier comes back for them.
Yeah.
Putting them in a place where they're going to get stolen either way.
What do you mean either way?
If someone gets through the door on the inside and sees that Bands of Mourning aren't there, they find the shattered glass and they give up and they're like, well, we'll just take that spearhead because at least that's something.
I mean, yeah, they would have had to get through the temple.
Right, but like with a large enough group of people, this isn't a temple where only one person can go in, though.
Okay.
So why? So like, some fucking like warlord brings in, throws people at the fucking problem.
Okay.
That then you still end up in the same position.
Yeah, I mean, you would need enough medallions for everybody to get there with enough heat for the journey. I mean, the point is that you can't just bring 400 people with you.
They brought a fucking airship. The hunters literally had a ship of people.
Yeah, but they need the medallions for everybody to keep them warm and away in and out. Like,
sure, I just like if the whole goal is to put the medallion, or to put the Bands of Mourning somewhere where it's not going to get stolen and end up in a fucking museum somewhere, this isn't the way to do that. If your goal is for them to be found, then this is the way to do it. Like, I'm just saying that it depends on what the goal of the people who built the temple was. That's it. If the goal is that they don't get... If the goal is for them to be here so that Kelsier can find them again, putting them the front and center in metal... and have been the only metal thing up front, like, yeah, fuck, someone would steal that just to steal it.
But people can't get here just to get here. You have to come here looking for the power of God himself.
For now, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But, like, that's yeah. I just think that, like, I'm not saying that people would know that the Bands of Mourning, but if the goal is for Kelsier to be able to get the Bands of Mourning, this might not be the way to do it, is all I'm saying. I think that you were lowering the chances of them still being here by putting them in metal out front by themselves. Because someone's just gonna fucking steal that. It should have just been like there should have been like some text that only Kelsier could read that's like, break the middle letter, and it's like in the wall. Because you still wouldn't be able to feel the metal because of the aluminum in it. And because it's a metal mind. But like the idea that someone wouldn't give up on the temple but still take the spearhead with them, I just don't agree with that. Like, I think that people who rob tombs generally take anything of value.
That wouldn't go through the temple.
Let's just move
still
on. It's fine. We've had this argument.
Sorry, I just don't understand what you're trying to say.
I am saying that if you're showing up to a tomb to rob it,
yeah,
you don't just take you don't go, well, the bands aren't here, so I'm just going to not steal anything. You just take everything that might be of value.
Yeah. If they had gotten...
And you figure it out when you get home.
Gotten through the temple to the end.
Or they give up and they take the stuff on the front.
Again, I just think if someone has showed up looking for the powers of God, they're not really...
That they're not going to rob the fucking place? That's what I don't get.
No, they are going to rob the place and die.
Why would they all die, though? Like, what is your guarantee that they would all die? Or that they wouldn't solve the traps? Sure, but traps can be figured out. Our team, the only people we've ever seen go through this temple, figured out the traps.
No, they just brought a Khandra to tank them all.
Sure, but Kelsier knows that Khandra exist. He's worked with a few of them.
Yeah, but the Khandra work for God. And if God is like, no, don't go through there, like, like...
Yeah,
They they literally work for Sazed.
This is a dumb argument. Let's move on. And Bryce is right. I know I did when I was robbing tombs in Baldur's Gate 3. Incense, take that. Rusty dagger, mine now. Moldy tart, right in the inventory. Yeah. That's my only point. So then, Edwarn and Wax have a conversation where Edwarn is like, look, the door, you're not going to get through it. It has a device that will stop you from getting through for 10 years. And then you can try again in 10... So, here's my question. Edwarn knows this. This bugged me a little bit because it felt real cheap and convenient.
Oh, it's the same thing from book 1.
What?
The door that, like, locks for a set amount of time. From the heist, remember?
Oh, no, I don't have a problem with I don't have a problem with the door having a timer on it.
Oh, okay.
Edwarn knows this.
Yeah.
Because a priest told a hunter who told a person in a village in the south who told someone who was going to get on the airship who told one of Suit's people because they were drinking together who told Suit.
Drinking it? No, I thought they tortured it out of them.
No, weren't they like playing cards or something? Maybe it was torture.
I thought, yeah, he got the key because someone on Alex's ship knew and they tortured it out of him.
So a priest... So I guess the question I have is, when did the priest leave, tell the person who told the... So, here's what bugged me about it. Suit showing up and being like, I have this information because my people tortured a guy who knew a guy who, like, whose father was a guy who met a priest who had been here, who knew who knew everything about this fucking door.
Lone Star, you are my cousin, sister's, brother's, uncle's former college roommate. And that makes us absolutely nothing.
No, I just was like, so him just walking in with this information felt very like, I wanted them to solve it. And it wasn't that it was solved. It was that a guy told a guy, told a guy, told a guy, told a guy, and we just have the information.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I guess you know everything about this door because a guy told... But the priest didn't mention that the glass inside was fake.
Yeah, the guy telling a guy is very uninteresting.
Yeah.
I think that, yeah, could have handled that one differently.
But also that, like, a guy on Alec's ship knew about this door, but Alec didn't. So there was a guy on Alec... So, like, the book doesn't really get into this, but, like, there was a guy on Alec's ship who knew how to get into the final door of this temple.
Yeah.
But he wasn't telling anybody on Alec's ship about that. So there was someone on Alec's ship who was keeping secrets.
There's someone who worked with the set, probably.
But the set doesn't have people in the southern continent.
Look, they have aliens. I don't know what they got anymore.
That's actually a good point.
Like, at this point, Alec's ship could have crashed deliberately because of sabotage, because Suit's got a guy on the ship.
That's a really interesting point. Yeah, the set could have been running this even from there.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, they've got aliens, so I don't know.
Huh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so they have a little standoff, but eventually they do go all the way in. They open the door, and oh no, there's broken glass on the floor, and the bands aren't there. Someone must have stolen this before.
Darn! Oh no!
No, it was
It's all a ploy.
Yeah, and so Edwarn is chapter 26. Edwarn gets mad. He's like, "Look, fuck this. Let's fight." Wax immediately is like, "Telson, you're evil."
Yeah.
I figured it out.
Pulls his gun on his sister because it was his first instinct.
And then Wax gets shot 4 times and falls into a hole.
To be fair, he does not fall into a hole. He throws himself into the trap.
Sure. Very different.
Important
very,
distinction.
Very different.
Because Wax realizes that there is too much glass on the floor to be the right size of box that would have been held on this pedestal to contain the Bands of Mourning. That's some Sherlock Holmes level shit.
Like,
it must have been a massive box.
But also, like, why wouldn't you... If you're going through all of the effort to do this, why wouldn't you build the
right size box?
Build it and break it in place.
Yeah.
Why would you just throw random glass around?
I don't know.
Like, what an insane... There's a few insane detective leaps in this book.
Uh-huh.
This being one of them. The other one being Marcy solving the financial records of all of the crypt keepers of fucking New Saren in an hour. There's a few wild ones. I could have understood if, like, the dust was, like, completely even, and so the bands were never there or something. But him being like, yeah, they must have used too much glass.
Like, what if it was, like, a double-lined box or something? You know how you've got, like, double insulated mugs?
Yeah.
You could have had a double glass box.
To keep the elements out?
Yeah. No.
It doesn't matter. They fight. It goes real bad, real fast.
Yeah, Milan is, like, full down immediately. They got that injecty goo.
Mm-hmm.
And Marcy also... she gets shot or she gets hit in the head? I'm trying to remember.
I can't remember exactly what happens there. But we find out that Telson and Edwarn are both allomancers because of heme allergy.
They got spiked. But we also find out you can only take a maximum of 3 different powers.
Yeah.
So they can't be full Mistborn. And also, the power transfer, which we knew this from Mistborn Era 1, but the transfer of power... lessens the power, so they're not as strong, even though they have multiple abilities.
Yeah. Yes. Which again, I still have so many questions about what the set is trying to accomplish. And now it's like, well, aliens told them to, which makes it even more like my question last week where I was like, why did Suit give up being the head of the Ladrian family?
Aliens.
The aliens. I guess it's because the aliens told him to. Full
Or
stop. Like
Telson
that's
did, yeah.
The Suit, the set doesn't really make sense to me as an organization anymore. But it's because it's aliens.
They are a hyper religious cult worshipping Trell run by aliens who are there because of Trell. Maybe
it's too many things.
It is a lot.
I liked the end of book 1 when Suit was in the train and he was like, oh no, we orchestrated all of this for insurance fraud so that we could become super rich. I was like, oh, that's interesting. Yeah. These people, you're fighting the, like, banking system. And, like, you're fighting against people who know the system of your world really well.
Yeah.
And then book 2 is like, and now the Lord Ruler's Khandra is trying to start a revolution by, like, spiking people into being zombies and doing this. And then this book is like, aliens are actually behind all of this and they want a bomb to blow up a city. And I do kind of feel like I'm like, I don't.
Well, we got to the point where it's like, actually, we're going to go like full total extermination of life on the planet.
Right. And I really wanted Wax to take down the people who were doing insurance fraud.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, I was genuinely excited at the end of Alloy of Law for how are we going to fight the people doing this crazy insurance fraud scheme.
Yeah. And we've talked about this a few times where we're like, we would actually love to really investigate the problems in the world that feel real and tangible and related to our world and things that we can care about and relate to. Like, I was excited for the Brandon Sanderson series to get into the actual, like, nitty-gritty of how can we all exist in a way that is harmonious, but investigate the systems that get put in place and why they happen and how do we move forward from them and how do we dismantle them and how do we fight for equality and things like that. And it's like, nah, it's aliens, bro.
But in the last book, it was zombies. Like, it's not even that.
True.
It's not even that the aliens thing makes sense the whole way through.
Yes.
Because what I thought the zombies were going to come back. Like, I thought we were going to do zombies again.
No, they're not.
The zombies was literally a one-off.
It was a one thing.
Like, we have zombies in this world, and it was a one-off action set piece.
Voka makes a point that I said to you.
Yeah.
In the car, where I was like, it literally feels like Brandon Sanderson was like, I'm gonna do something small. I'm gonna do this thing, and literally, like, could not stop himself from Cosmerifying it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, he was like, okay, I'm gonna write this genre. That'll be so cool.
Well,
but then what if it connects?
The fun twist of this was that I was like, I heard the red mask thing. I went, oh my god, it's Parshendi.
Yeah.
Right? And then the twist was that it's actually not the Cosmere. it's like a guy from this planet. Like,
right.
But the problem with that twist is that it comes right after Hoyt shows up and points them in that direction. So that's Cosmere. But then when we get to the end of this book, and you're like, why are they doing this? Like, what is the purpose of what the set is doing? And it's like, it doesn't actually matter. The set were just patsies for aliens. And the final reveal being that the set are patsies for aliens kind of ruins Mistborn Era 2 for me. Because it makes Suit less interesting. It makes Telson less interesting.
Yeah,
These are just people that have been tricked by aliens.
Yeah. Who
are just going to destroy everything. Like, the bad guys of this being intelligent goes out the window because they're just patsies for literally just evil aliens.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Like, that's fine. That's not the end of the world. We're just kind of doing, like, evil aliens with red eyes in Stormlight Archive. So you've just kind of made the plot of this also the Stormlight Archive. No, the aliens
are the humans.
So, but I mean the alien in the, like, to the culture. I understand literally the aliens are the humans in that.
It was a joke, haha, funny.
But the elements here of being like Suit, and when he's sitting on the train, feels like a big bad at the end of Alloy of Law.
Yeah.
Where he's like, oh no, I'm a million steps ahead of you. And by the end of book 3, it's like, not only was he not a million steps ahead of Wax, aliens just told him what to do. And you're like, oh, okay, so then like...
Here's the thing. I'm not going to fully discredit it and be like, aliens told him what to do everything. Because there are moments that we are in Suit's head where he takes pride in the things that he has established and set up and the schemes that he's wrought. And so I don't think that Suit is literally just incompetent and not doing anything. I'm glad that we've had those moments that make him feel like a real person with his own schemes and goals and stuff like that. But... yes, the general outline.
But I don't know what his goals are.
His goals are for the set to run the world without people knowing that they run the world.
But that's not what his goals are.
Illuminati.
His goals are to get a bomb. His goals aren't to run the world.
No, he talked about his plans that he was very proud that he put in place that would allow in 100 years for people to think that they were free, to think that they had a system that was serving them, but in reality it's all underground, run by the set.
That.
Yeah.
But he thinks that, right?
Yeah.
But that's not true. Because that is what we are told in the book, but he actually wants to let the aliens run the planet. Because
I don't know about the aliens running the planet. It seems like they were going to work together.
They're not working together. He works for them. His idea of freedom for the people of Elendel is that the aliens are in charge. Because they're in charge of him.
No, they don't seem to be in charge of him.
They seem 100% in charge of him. They tell him what to do at the end of this book. And he's like,
no, they blow him up.
He doesn't expect them to do that, though.
Yeah.
He is petitioning them to change their timeline. He is not in control of the timeline. They are in control of the timeline.
Yeah, but it has enough power and influence to be like, here's what I think should be happening.
He is a middle manager at best. But he is his idea of freedom.
But middle managers still manage stores and franchises.
Sure, but all of his internal monologue that we see about freedom for Elendel and freedom from the government is bullshit because he just wants to hand the keys over to the aliens. That's what the reveal is.
I mean, there are going to be people above him, but he's still going to be him and his offspring in the set are going to be the ones running everything and benefiting from it.
To what end? So the aliens are in charge? Like that
yeah.
The entire idea of his character to me being an interesting villain goes out the door when Telson is more powerful than him and then it's aliens. Right? Like
I don't think but he doesn't care. He just wants money, wealth and power and for him and the set for years and years to come.
Here's my point. I think that as a character,
Suit wants to be Niblis. Yeah.
Sure. Suit wanting to be Niblis would have been a way to run that character. But the actual reality of Suit as the villain of Mistborn Era 2 is that the end of book 1 sets him up to be a fucking genius, a scary threat, and a really interesting bad guy.
Uh-huh.
And then the series makes him less interesting book by book by book, and less powerful, and less of a bad guy, and less of a threat. Right?
Why?
Because it doesn't build him up, it tears him down. At every point where we learn more about Suit, It is actually to say that it isn't him in charge. He isn't the bad guy. He isn't the schemer. He isn't the leader.
But how can you know that? The book does not say that. Because in my interpretation...
What do you mean? Telson literally runs him. He is
but that doesn't mean... Okay, you hire someone to do a job that they are good at. Suit is still good at the things that he is good at. He is just not top dog.
Right, but so why did he do any of this? To be the 15th person in line?
It's better than the 127th.
But he wasn't that. He was one of the 6 most important people in Ellendale, and he gave that up.
And Ellendale is gonna be run by the fucking Illuminati. So if he wasn't on the set, he wants to be in with the set because he knows that the set is going to work, that they're going to do their thing. And if he does not join them, his house will become irrelevant. It doesn't matter. He is setting up his house in his name and his, He's
not setting up his house. He left his house. He has no house. He has nothing. The Suit literally has nothing anymore, except he is, I guess, going to be a part of this.
Except that he can do whatever he wants.
Can he?
Yeah.
No, his fucking niece gets to tell him what to do.
When did she ever actually tell him what to do?
Immediately. So much so that everyone goes, oh, Telson was in charge the whole time. Immediately after Telson is revealed.
But they were together. That's
not how that works. The person who recruits you is above you in the chain of command. Telson is above Suit in the chain of command at the end of this book.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean that Suit is not doing anything.
I'm not saying he's not doing anything.
Yeah, you said all of his schemes are not him anymore.
I know, but I am saying that the idea of him being the bad guy of this series is not true.
Yeah.
He is simply a minion.
But I don't think that makes him less interesting.
I 100% do. I think that at the end of book 1, he scared the shit out of me.
Yeah.
And I did not know how Wax was going to beat him. At the end of book 3, I was like, I don't actually care about Suit at all. He is a minion for the people that we have to go fight. I think that I think they could have beaten him in a way where it didn't just slowly get revealed that he wasn't actually that bad.
What do you mean not that bad? He still did the things that he did.
But only because Telson recruited him into the aliens' plans for destruction.
Yeah, but that doesn't change what he has done to be a piece of shit.
But what has he done? We haven't
kidnapped women to breed them.
But we don't know that was him.
Murdered people to put spikes in him for power. Okay, he literally used hemalurgy to murder people to give himself power. But he didn't even figure that out.
Right, again, that's just being a minion shit. He's just a minion to Telson, and by...
He says, in his own words, that he is proud of his schemes. Which tells me that he yes, was not top dog, but still was involved in plots and plans, did horrible things, had a vision for a 5-year, 10-year, 100-year plan. What do you mean? He gave himself superpowers.
He did not give himself superpowers. He didn't figure that out.
How do you know?
Because he got
How do you know how they discovered hemalurgy?
Okay, so maybe he figured out hemalurgy. Maybe. I doubt that. I'm pretty sure it's the aliens who told them that. I'm pretty sure Trell just gave them hemalurgy. Why would it be that Suit figured that out? That's not established in the book at all.
Because it is established that Suit is a very conniving person. The person that he is at the end of book 1 doesn't actually change. Just his position in the chain of command is different.
Sure. His position within the set doesn't change. His position in my understanding of his antagonism to the series changes.
I mean,
sure. Wax beating Suit felt like it was going to be this huge thing that really mattered, and it didn't. Because by the time Wax beats Suit, beating Suit isn't the goal.
Yeah, because the book has expanded in the way I don't find as satisfying. The set is just a giant pyramid scheme. Basically,
But a pyramid scheme into
Telson
what
recruits
end?
5 people, and then Suit recruits 5 people, and then they all get a pink Mercedes.
At the end of this book, I genuinely was like, we did the epilogue reaction, found out about the aliens who now want to just kill everybody. And I'm like, but why? If you...
Well, that I have no idea why they're trying to get rid of life on the planet.
But I've never understood what they wanted at any point. Because every book it changes. And so now
they made it sound like the original plan was to eliminate all life on the planet, and that Suit convinced them to move up their timeline. Because that's what Suit was trying to do for the last, like, 2 books, is, like, make them work towards their plans faster.
But towards...
And they were like, okay, you know what, we're going to listen to you, so everyone's going to get murdered.
Towards what end, though?
No idea. Couldn't tell you.
You know what I mean? Like, to accomplish what?
Not a clue.
This book doesn't establish any end game that makes sense for them, and they're not really a part of it.
Trell wins and everyone dies. I don't know.
And so, like, this book is... We found out about people from another continent, and we got the Bands of Mourning, but the Bands of Mourning don't actually have that much power in them.
Profit, sure.
Like that doesn't really relate. That doesn't relate to these new villains in any way.
Yeah.
It's just it's such an enjoyable read that, like, it's hard to. I don't want to shit on it because this book is so fun. It's so fun, and I enjoyed it. Like, I really did. But in terms of Mistborn Era 2, it is such a weird experience to be like.
Oh, for sure.
The set. And, like, this book sets up this whole, like, we're gonna go to a Civil War plot line that literally goes fucking nowhere.
Well, no, because now there's...
It's just solved because an airship shows up.
Well, yeah, now it's like, well, the Civil War is definitely not gonna happen. We're gonna put a pin in that because now we have outside threats.
And I think that Brandon Sanderson thinks... I think he genuinely believes that putting in a twist that the aliens are gonna kill everybody... in the final words of the epilogue is what his audience wants. And I don't. I want you to explore the stories that you establish.
Yeah.
And I think that's...
I want to know how the village works together with the rest of Allendale.
Yeah.
You know, like, those are the things that I'm interested in.
I think that and this happens in book 2. I think that this series is getting lost in needing to justify Wax getting into another fight. And I think the problem is that he built a world where Wax shouldn't be fighting so much. And so he keeps needing to come up with, like, we have to have zombies. Okay, what happens to those zombies after that? Like, are there more zombies? Or was zombies just a one-off thing? Yeah. Oh, okay. Did we ever figure out who those zombies were when they were alive? Like, all of the things that are interesting about those concepts are not explored in order for Wax to have another thing to fight.
Yeah.
And I like genuinely think that the concepts set up in these books are more interesting than the payoffs.
For sure.
And that's not something I would typically say about a Brandon Sanderson series. And I think that's why I find Mistborn Era 2 so weird, right? Is because I find a lot of times the Sanderlanche is where his books get really good. And in Mistborn Era 2, I think the Sanderlanches are the weakest parts of the books.
Yeah.
And it's the first time I've said that about Brandon Sanderson.
Yeah.
The ends of these books are the least interesting parts of them. It's the build-ups that are the best part, because he actually, like, has established a basin of a place that I care about.
Yeah.
I'm invested in Elendel.
Yeah.
I actually don't care about aliens.
I know.
I want these characters who I actually enjoy quite a bit, other than Wayne, who I think gets better in the second half of this book.
Agreed.
One thing I will say about the second half of this book is it is such an improvement on my enjoyment of Wayne's experience.
Absolutely.
He's so bad in the first half.
But but it is worth mentioning for sure, especially with him and Milan and getting her spike and, like, those moments of, like, caring and what, like, losing Wax did to him. Like, there's a lot of good there for sure in terms of character stuff that I agree. But Arzu, thank you for that super chat. Sanderson broke his own rules in this series. He made promises that have no payoffs.
That's a really interesting point. No, I completely agree.
Yeah, it's I think that's a very concise way to put it.
It's both kind of trying too hard and also leaning on easy tropes. And so it's just
and also low effort.
It's kind of like but only low effort at the foundation stage.
The
effort in the writing of the scenes is so high.
Yeah.
They're so fun.
Yeah.
Right? The combat scenes are great. What we're going to get into a bunch of combat here in a second, but, like, the combat scenes of this book are all fantastic. Milan is so fun. She's such a great character. We don't talk about Milan enough because she's sort of like a device at times, but
she doesn't really have, like, an arc.
Milan's the way that Milan interacts with the physical life of this book is deeply fascinating.
Yeah.
And, like, her lack of inhibitions and the way that other characters respond to her lack of inhibitions is genuinely great, right? There's stuff in this book that I think is fantastic. But then the aliens reveal happens, and you're like, why did we do any of it?
Yeah. Yeah, what was the point? Yeah.
And it's just a really fascinating... It's sort of a fascinating series of, like, what happens when an author who's written enough books where he is just good at his job goes down a path without the best plan.
Yeah, you fucked around a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this is fun. Let's, like, do more of that, I guess.
You end up with a series of books that are generally successful, but just maybe not the most satisfying.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of people who don't love Era 2.
Sure, but even if you don't, I can understand not liking it, but if you were to be like, these books are poorly written, I would disagree with you.
Sure.
If you're like, I don't like them, they're not my thing. Yeah. I don't think I actually really like Alloy of Law. I don't think Shadows of Self or this book are my thing. I don't necessarily think these are for me.
Yeah.
I don't love them. There's things that I love in them, but I can't sit here and say they're poorly written. Like, I think Crossroads of Twilight is a poorly written book on every level. Yeah. It is boring. Nothing happens. Like, I think that is a bad book. Yeah. Right. These aren't bad books. Yeah. They're not poorly written. They're not tragedies. They're not flawed. They're flawed. They're not like complete failures. Yeah. Because he's just too talented a writer for them to be. Yeah. But I am also scratching my head at them a lot. Yeah. And it's just a fascinating experience to be like having a good time while I'm reading a book, and as soon as I stop reading, going, I don't know if I want to pick it up again, even though I'm having a good time reading it.
Yeah. I was definitely not hankering to be like, God, I gotta find out what happens next. Like, edge of my seat.
Well, you said that a couple times. Yeah. You were like, I don't even know if I want to do the reading, and I was like, well, we have to.
What?
No, not that you wanted to stop. I mean that you.
Oh, I wasn't like hankering to get the reading done.
I was like, I'm gonna go read the book, and you were like, nah. Yeah. I'll get it done when I get it done.
Yeah. It wasn't like my first priority because I was like, I gotta know what happens, right? It was a different vibe reading these books for sure. Yeah. It's so fascinating. I've never felt this way reading Brandon Sanderson before, and so I think that's part of it. Mm-hmm. Like, because Elantris was at least flawed in a way where I was like... It was charming.
But, yeah, it was charming. Yeah. But also, like, it had, like, real problems. Yeah. Also, I want to point out the internet has not stopped once.
Since we changed the cable?
I think we figured out what the problem was. It wasn't our internet. It wasn't our computer. I think it was... The Ethernet cable that we've been using for years. Yeah. It finally was dead.
Yeah. Don't know what happened. Although now we fucking jinxed it.
Here's the thing. If it's going to stop, it's going to stop. And then we'll figure it out. But the fact that we're 2 hours in. We're not even at 2 hours in, but it hasn't stopped once. Mm-hmm. We haven't had a stream where it hasn't stopped once in months. Yeah. I think that cable's dead. Yeah. And so, let's go. Yeah.
No, I'm glad we figured that out.
Anyway, it's so weird. I don't want to shit on this book because it's so fun, but God, is it like not? I don't think it's a good part of a series.
Sure. Yeah.
So Wax, we come back to Wax. He's on the ground underneath the temple. He's fallen quite a bit. Sorry, that was such a long tangent. But Edward falls him down, and they go and they go fight in the basement among people who are kneeling, looking at the bands of mourning. What? They're down here? There's a secret underground compartment? It's like the pyramids.
Like the real life pyramids?
Yeah, you guys following this shit?
No.
There are apparently giant underground structures beneath the pyramids of Giza that we've never known about before. That go like 600 feet down into the ground.
How did we not know about those?
Y'all, look, I have long been on the thinking that the Egyptians didn't build the pyramids was racism. And like, I've long been on the like thinking that cultures that aren't Western cultures built things that we don't understand and therefore it has to be aliens is a theory that I have been against my entire life. But the shit that's coming out about the pyramids of Giza right now might change my mind. I'm not gonna lie. I don't get it. It's freaking me out.
Oh.
Anyway.
Okay. Great.
Yeah. Apparently, giant underground structures in the sand How'd they get there? We don't know.
Quicksand.
Yeah.
They probably have quicksand in the desert.
Blue Sun says, why not see Egyptians be even more awesome than we thought? Oh, no, that's definitely what it is. I'm making a joke, Blue Sun. No, it is definitely that... Egyptians just fucking rocked. Or...
Well, you know, a lot of people died for that. You know, we could accomplish incredible things in today's day and age if people worked themselves literally to death to do it.
That's 100%.
Right,
Yeah,
so...
Yeah.
If you've got enough bodies, you can do anything.
No, but I do want to be clear. I still think that the Egyptians had technology. Ancient people were very impressive in their ability to imagine solutions to their problems.
The Egyptians were at war with the aliens and Egyptians won. It's
just wild to me that we could discover this now.
Yeah.
Like that we've been looking into these pyramids for thousands of years, and that we're like giant underground structures.
Yeah.
Absolutely massive giant underground structures. Anyway, back to the book. We go back up. Wayne and Marcy are attempting to fight, but Edwin and Telson basically beat them, mostly because Edwarn made himself a leecher, and so he's able to take everybody's medals. And Wayne escapes, and Edwarn is like, I'm gonna kill Marcy, but then doesn't. Because Wayne is gone, and he's like, fuck. I do like the exchange here, where I think it was Telson who's like...
do you think that's gonna work?
Do you think he cares about her? And Edward's like...
I don't know.
I can't tell.
He's tough to read, that one. We don't really get him.
I've got no clue.
Yeah, no clue. I don't even know if he's still in this room, because he can go real fast.
Yeah.
I mean, kind of real fast. He can bubble and yeah, he can kind of go real fast.
And so Telson is a fucking nightmare woman who injects Milan with the goo that makes them the Conjure goo, takes both of her spikes out, so she just loses sanity and starts becoming a mist wraith, which is fucking awful.
Yeah.
Edwarn goes to kill Wax. Telson goes to the soldiers outside, or the soldiers come in, and she's like, "Have you seen Wayne?" And this is where Telson is like straight up ordering Edwarn around. Like, she just straight up tells him what to do the entire rest of the book. Which is why I went with, like, she's above him in the chain of command.
Yeah, I mean, she is. Yeah.
The soldiers are like, no, you didn't go this way. There's a pit over there, and there's a pit over there. Where could Wayne have gone? But she won't figure that out.
Literally anywhere.
So, Wax finds the bands of mourning underneath the ground.
Yeah, he's fucked up. He's dying. He prays, and is like, oh, shit, I got God.
Mm-hmm.
I'm dying, and I prayed to God, which I said I hated, but that can't, fuck, damn it.
He could pray to Trell. He could just pray to a different god.
Sure, yeah.
Do you think that if you were, like, suddenly dying, do you think you would, like, reach out to the Almighty?
No. I
think I'd give it a shot.
When has it ever worked for anyone ever?
Oh, no, I think that, like, if I was, like, bleeding out, and I was like, I'm gonna die, I think in my final moments, I'd be like, hey, man, just in case. Your son was pretty alright. Big fan. I secretly, deep down in my heart, I was a big fan the whole time. I'm saying this out loud now, just in case.
Right, yeah.
I think I lived my life pretty well. If you are real, I maybe shouldn't be using if still, but, you know.
I think if I was, like, dying, I would definitely, like, pray. But not in the sense of, like, praying to a god or a person. I think I'd be like, I hope that the people in my life are, like, that are left behind are, like, happy, healthy, and taken care of. But I wouldn't be like, God, can you take care of them? I would just have those thoughts of, like, I would have those thoughts about those people and try and, like, conceptualize them as best that I could. Yeah, I don't know what else you would do.
Cryptic in chat says, who was it on deathbed was asked, do you renounce Satan? And they answered, now is not the time to make new enemies. Yes, that would be my thing. I would go through everyone. I would give a good old like Barukata Aranai, you know what I mean? Like really like lean into it. Blue Sun says, but which god? Do you do all like the mummy guy? That's me. Do a quick praise Allah, thank you Jesus, Buddha. I know that's not your thing, but
Thor?
like just in case.
So,
Thor, Odin. I hope to die on Odin's day.
Oh my god.
Uh,
Like, Jesus, you're kind of a shit dude from what I've heard, but like, we could be cool. We could be buds. we could be buds.
Hey, I was obsessed with your son my whole life, so
Yeah.
I know the Disney version, but like still obsessed.
Yeah, Disney version is 100% accurate. I don't see the problem. Yeah.
I don't like Kingdom Hearts 3, the video game. I thought it was such a letdown after Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2. But getting to finally go to like the Hercules levels in Kingdom Hearts 3 was chef's kiss. I love that very much.
I've never played Kingdom Hearts.
Don't.
Oh.
Just don't. It's too explaining Kingdom Hearts as a concept is impossible, and getting into those games is a nightmare.
Great. All right. Well,
in the third game, when
we're getting into those games.
Very quickly, one last thing. When Donald and Goofy are trying to explain in their ridiculous voices about how the Codex of Information was written into the DNA of a character, it too much.
So it's like anime.
No, it's so much worse.
Oh.
It's yeah. I say that as someone who loves the franchise. It is because it's nonsense, but it's nonsense that like Goofy is explaining.
Yeah, but
Gorsh,
like,
don't you understand that the DNA was written into the Codex and we have to pull it off of your genome? And you're like, what the fuck is happening?
Is that any different than I ate the reindeer fruit? Or the dog gun fruit, or whatever the fuck.
Neither of those things are real things.
The dog fruit. The gun ate the dog fruit, or shit.
The thing is that like One Piece doesn't have a 20-minute cutscene where they try to go into detail about how it physically changed the DNA of you. They just go, you ate the human fruit. So it's
like in JJK when they try and explain how the powers work, and you're like, sure, man, whatever the fuck you say.
Yeah. It's like that.
Okay.
But it's Goofy explain. But it's like Goofy and Donald Duck.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay, I understand now.
Yeah, the gun ate the sword fruit. The sword fruit. Yeah.
Sure.
No. The gun ate the dog fruit. The sword ate the elephant fruit.
Yeah.
So anyway, there's a standoff between between Wax and Suit. And Wax is like, fuck you. And Suit is like, no, fuck you. He takes the bands of mourning and he brings the ceiling down on Wax. Wax gets crushed by rocks and dies. We cut back to Marisi. Marisi is basically just trapped, or is held prisoner. But they take the medallions, but they don't like search the rest of them.
No, they do search the rest of them for metal, and they're like, oh no, nothing to be seen here.
I just want to be really clear. There's a lot of things in the world that are dangerous that aren't metal.
Not in this world.
So the
metal is might.
The spearhead. It would make more sense if it wasn't a spearhead. But the idea of being like, oh yeah, she just has a spearhead. She can't do anything with that. That's not literally only a weapon.
Well, yeah, I mean,
It's like this big.
Whoa! No?
Yeah.
It's like this big. It's a spearhead. Like...
No, it's like a fucking, like, a spear... it's like a long spearhead. Like the ones that Kelsier used, right?
You thinking like the Aiel ones from the Wheel of Time?
Yeah. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. I might be thinking of the Wheel of Time.
Yeah. I think that's...
I thought it was like a big, like, chunky thing.
Whoa, that is half the size that you just... You were like, it's this big. I thought it was this big.
Spearheads are pretty long.
Depends on the spear, though.
Not really. Like, they're...
Yeah.
It's long enough that there's, like, a metal bit that he wraps his hand around while he's holding the spear, right?
A metal bit that he wraps his hand around?
Depends how cold it is, to be honest. Cry, bah!
I imagine, like, this big.
Oh, interesting. I imagined it much larger. Like 7 or 8 inches. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's okay.
If someone
That's like
had
7
a
inches.
7-inch dagger,
Yeah.
you wouldn't be like, they don't have any weapons on them. You'd be like, no, they have a fucking 7-inch dagger.
But it's aluminum. It's so soft. Can't stab anyone with that. I think it's because they like
hate this.
searched for metal. They didn't actually like turn out pockets, and it was aluminum, so they didn't find it. You know what I mean?
Johnny Coleman, you are so far behind.
Johnny Coleman, welcome back to the Nerds Radiant. Alex says he thinks
That conversation was like 90 minutes ago.
his soul think it grew up there. If he did, then he'd have gone on the trips to the closest population and learned their language. What?
The connection medallion. We're so far past this. I don't want to do the connection conversation again.
Yeah, you know what?
I love you, Johnny Coleman.
We'll make a
Appreciate
separate video.
No, we won't.
For that specifically. Or we'll just pull this out and stick it on the Nerdy Wordy Book Club channel. Like, we'll just pull a piece of book club and pull it over there.
Yeah. Okay, let's keep going. Them just letting her keep the spearhead. I get that it needs to happen for the plot, but that's just kind of what this book feels like.
I genuinely thought that someone searched her for metals by using, like, their metal-born abilities, didn't find the metal, and, like, didn't realize that the spearhead was there. They came over, they had the blue lines, and they were like, okay, no blue lines, we're good. Because they talk about how they're like, like Steris' notebook, there's metal. It must be the bindings. The bindings must be metal.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. And so I assumed it was like...
Because it's a metal mine, so it's such little metal that they don't care.
Yeah, like it doesn't register.
Yeah. I just think that if you're gonna take people hostage, take all of their possessions, not just the dangerous ones.
Sure, yeah.
Whatever.
I mean, yeah.
The set is bad at everything.
They're in a rush, okay?
And the set is bad at everything consistently across these books, so I don't know why I expect them to suddenly be competent now.
They're in a rush and they're really cold.
It is cold.
Mm-hmm. So the spearhead's actually about like this big.
What?
So the spearhead's actually about this big. Because it's cold.
Okay. All right, sure. Wax is dying. Ed Warren manages to fucking
Very serious conversation.
This is where we learn that he has 3 spikes, which means that he can avoid Sazed's eyes, because humans can have 3, but Khandra can't have 2. The math of the spikes doesn't make any fucking sense to me.
It's different for different species.
I know, but like the hemalurgy element of it is that once you have a spike, Sazed should be able to talk to you. And so the fact that Sazed can't, because I guess Trell? The rules around hemalurgy just feel very...
I mean, Sazed might be screaming at them in their heads. We don't know.
I mean, maybe. Yeah, and Sazed can't see them, because seeing is a power of preservation, right? He can only talk to them.
Yeah. We'll worry about that later. Anyways,
Yeah, I don't know. But so he can have 3 powers.
Yeah.
From hemalurgy, and that even though hemalurgy is of ruin, that doesn't give Sazed any power over him. But 4, now at 4, it seems like an arbitrary line. I think that it's just that it's a different number for Khandra and for humans that I find odd.
Well, yeah, because Khandra, that's how they were created.
And so I guess their
different
spikes
species.
are different.
No, they're just different species. They literally work differently.
Yeah, and I guess that must be it. And I guess maybe like Sazed could have helped more because of the hemalurgic spikes if Wax had his spike in. So maybe like I don't know. Doesn't matter. This is the arbitrary line that the books establishes. Yeah. Which I really thought they were going... I thought that Wax was going to beat him by, like, shoving another spike in him. But that isn't what happened.
Oh, that's interesting.
I thought the establishing of I can't have more than 3 was a setup for something, and it didn't go anywhere.
They only have Chondra spikes, and I think the Chondra spikes are different. Like, I don't think anyone can get spiked with a Chondra spike to get powers, because the spike has to be... you know what? I don't know. Doesn't matter.
I don't know either.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not gonna lie, the magic system of this world is getting... It's getting really complicated.
A little much.
I do think the metal magic of Scadrial is starting to have almost too many rules.
Yeah, I felt like I had a pretty good grasp on it in Era 1.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, I understand.
I felt good about it in Hour of Law.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of things.
And I feel like I could have gotten on board if this book had just introduced that we can make metal mines by removing our souls when we make them so that they can be used by anybody. But it's like that, plus the medallions, plus the new rules about hemalurgy, plus... And I'm like, okay, is there like a TTRPG book coming out next year that will explain all these?
Yeah.
Can I get the Scadrial book for the TTRPG so that I understand the rules a little bit better?
Yeah.
Anyway, fucking Ed Warren takes the bands and fucks off. He takes 2 literal bracers off of a pedestal and leaves. And then Wax shows up. Wayne shows up. And so he flees because he's like, I can't beat Wayne right now. Wayne had fallen onto a pit trap. And skewered himself, healed, somehow gotten up out of the pit trap. I'm not sure how he got out of it. And then crawled over, fell down another hole, healed again, then crawled in here and scared off Suit.
Yeah.
Marcy is... oh, no. They literally search her purse by hand in the book. I wrote that down. And they find the spearhead. And because... Oh, right. So Wayne stole the spearhead from the statue.
Yeah, and then he traded Riddler's spike.
No, Marcy got mad at him.
Yeah.
Put it in her bag because she was like, just don't take anything else. There's a whole thing where Wax is like, don't touch anything, and then he immediately steals the spearhead, and then Wax is like, don't.
No, Wayne has the spearhead, and
I know,
she
but when
they
first get here, Wax is like, don't touch anything, and then Wayne immediately breaks the spearhead off and puts it in his, and then Marcy, they're like,
and then Wayne somehow trades like pickpockets Riddler's spike and leaves the spearhead.
And so they actually find the spearhead but let her keep it. And then Suit comes back. He's like, I have the bracers. They are not metal mines. They're fucking nothing.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Empty.
And they're like, that's fine. We got the bomb. The bracers were always kind of a myth. Who cares? Let's get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
But Marcy is like, no, the bands must be real. Wax is dying. And Wayne is crying, and then Wax is dead.
Yeah.
End of chapter.
Pretty much. Yeah, I was like, damn, oh shit, Wax is dead. Okay, damn.
Chapter 28. Wayne's gonna...
gets real upset.
Yeah, and he's gonna shoot somebody.
Yeah, even though he's... Yeah, the whole gun thing, we're over it.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck it, we ball. Takes a shotgun and heads off. Marcy's like, wait a minute, the bands of Mourning. Where would you hide a thing except in plain sight? We should say,
Wax, right before he dies, Wax figures it out, and then can't communicate it, so he dies.
Yeah.
Wax does figure it out.
Yes. Good for him.
Yeah. But so does Marcy. And yeah, she is like, oh, this isn't aluminum, but many different intertwined metals. So this reveal felt weird because it felt like these people should be like metal experts. And I guess they just aren't.
Who?
Well, like the bands being... I guess I just don't understand metal nearly as much as I thought I did. Because the idea that all 6 of these characters, who are all studying metal and are very familiar with aluminum, would look at a spear tip and go, oh, that's aluminum. Even though like I guess it just looks like aluminum, but
Well, they can't sense it, so they're like, well, it's obviously aluminum.
yeah, no, and I guess that just must be it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're like, oh, I can't feel this, so obviously this is aluminum. I don't need to investigate further. Right? If you've got magic power that, like, tells you, and you're like, oh, yeah, okay.
I just feel like if it was like aluminum, it would look like aluminum, right? But like, I guess and maybe it just doesn't look like aluminum. I don't know.
Well, no, Marcy says that it is, she looks, and it's like, okay, it's not just aluminum, there's actually other metals in there. So you actually have to, like, look at it.
Yeah, a twist built on them just not looking at it.
I'm assuming the bronze and the copper and stuff are on, like, the inside, so that at least, like, it's all silvery on the outside.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, the gold, copper, and bronze are all inside.
Because it can't have any aluminum. Which is the weird thing about it, right? Is that there is no aluminum in it.
Why?
Because if it's
aluminum has its own power. I thought
right, but if
the bands had all the powers.
No, but if there's aluminum in it, when you tap into it, you would lose all your power. Like it can't have aluminum in it. No, that's only
if you ingest aluminum.
No, it would become allomantic. The entire band, the bands would do nothing if you incorporate aluminum into them. It's metal tarnish after a while too, so there's that. That's true, Judy Kaiser. I think that's super
yeah, no, thank you for that super chat.
It can't have aluminum in it, right? Or else it wouldn't work.
No, it has to have aluminum in it because it has all the powers.
That's interesting. In my mind, I was like, it has to have everything except aluminum and atium. Because it also doesn't have atium in it.
Honestly, I don't know. Did it have atium in it and they just had never felt or seen that metal before ever, and so they didn't know how to tap into it?
Lou said it hasn't been established that aluminum would nullify everything. Okay.
Yeah. Like...
Aluminum is not one of the 16 metals. It is elementically inert. Okay. So Hawkeye TS, I'm on Hawkeye TS's side. I think it's the 16 metals, not aluminum.
But right? I thought aluminum made the power disappear.
What power disappear?
Aluminum is what makes the metals disappear, that you can't use them.
I don't know, man. It and derailment are paired, so it is one of the 16. I guess in my head, like, if you tap into this thing and there's aluminum in it, I just figure it would just kind of kill it.
Well,
you know what I mean?
You can tap into it without activating all of the powers. Because otherwise you'd start lurching and flying and healing and everything all at once.
But why would you add what is the value of adding aluminum to this thing?
So that you can sap other people's power? But
that's not what aluminum does.
Yeah, it's what the grenade does when you put the aluminum power into it, right?
No, isn't that duralumin?
No, Vin eats aluminum and burns it.
And it saps her powers. It doesn't leech other people's powers. Right? So, like, leechers don't burn aluminum. Do they? I feel like we're fucking this up. I feel like we're making this way more complicated than it needs to be right now. Let's move on to the story of it. It doesn't matter if there's aluminum in the rod. It just doesn't matter. Yeah. Different things. Nerdy is right. Yes. I just don't see the point of having aluminum in this unless it's for ferrochemical reasons. Nicrosil is what leaches. Thank you. That's what I was looking for. So, like, nicrosil leaches. Chromium leaches? Are nicrosil and chromium the same thing? I genuinely feel like this chemistry class that is reading this book is breaking my brain. I never wanted to know this much about the periodic table of elements in my life. Scuff Andy, thank you for that super chat. Messages are difficult.
Scuff Andy, thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, I don't get it.
Okay, let's move on. Wax is dead. Marcy, Wax is dead. And so Harmony and Wax do the scene from the final Harry Potter book, but instead of meeting at a train station, they walk around the planet.
Yeah.
On the outside. It's very cool visual, except for the fact that there's fucking red mist everywhere.
Yeah.
Because the thrill has arrived.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thrill. They mispronounce it and it's Trell.
Oh my god.
What?
Scadrial is in the ruby from Oathbringer. It's like the fucking who's on the fucking dandelion that Horton hears.
Interesting. Oh,
and so when Dalinar traps the thrill in the ruby,
right,
the people of Scadrial have to deal with it.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
That's where they came from.
Yeah, that makes sense now. Yeah.
Fuck, I figured it out.
Scadrial's really, 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 really tiny.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I hear you. That makes sense.
No, there's a red mist everywhere. And then Wax and Harmony have a conversation that I wildly disagree with. And I understand that Brandon Sanderson wrote Wax to agree with it. So that is the book and you have to agree with it. But I genuinely think the argument that Harmony makes here, where I had you kill Lessie without telling you about it because I saw futures, and in the ones where you didn't kill Lessie, you got upset because it wasn't you that did it, it's just an insanely unhealthy and toxic way to view people's grief. And I just fundamentally disagree with it on so many levels. This scene is so cool. I disagree with this viewpoint, but this scene is so cool. I don't think
but it
that... It
doesn't matter because it's about Wax and it's not about you.
I know that. But the idea that, there's a different future where you didn't kill Lessie and you are upset with me because someone else did. And I'm like, yeah, dude, because he's grieving the death of a person he cares about. That's normal. Grief is a natural process, okay? That doesn't mean that you're like, so I figured it would just be better if you killed her. And
Wax agrees.
I know.
Because Wax is the protagonist and not you.
But Wax isn't in a good headspace.
Well,
Wax is not in, Wax has not gone to therapy and is not mentally in the strongest place.
Sure, but you think that you knowing Wax better than Wax does is also problematic.
No. This is not me saying that I know Wax. I am saying that there is no human being alive who is better off having killed the person they love than it being somebody else. There is no person in the history of humanity who is in a better position emotionally or mentally because they got to be the person who pulled the trigger on their loved one.
I don't know how you could possibly know that because you don't know everybody.
I don't care. I believe this to the core of my being. If Wax had found out afterwards that someone else had killed her when she went mad, it would have been bad and he would have grieved. It would have been better than him having night terrors about the fact that he shot her multiple times over the course of 2 different fights where he had to be the one that ended her life. I fundamentally believe that in my soul.
All right.
I think that not having the visual of having been the one to pull the trigger is better. I do believe that. And you can disagree with that. That's fine. I'm not saying that I have the right opinion. I do have the right opinion, though.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah. You are an expert on every single person to ever have existed.
You know what?
Yeah.
That is the magic of autism, is that I understand other people really well.
Yeah. It is a really interesting conversation that they have, though. And I think that the most interesting part of it is Wax being like, "Well, do more," and Harmony is like, "Okay, but then where do I draw the line?"
Yeah.
Maybe you're right. I'm willing to acknowledge that maybe you are right, but where do I stop?
It's the God problem, right?
Yeah. How much are you supposed to interfere? What is the balance?
It's the reason why I don't believe in God.
Yeah.
Because I don't see Here's the thing. If God exists, I don't get why.
Yeah.
There's no purpose to being God. Yeah. There's no value to a God existing. Because God can't interfere, or else what's the point of there being anything else?
I mean, but also, what is the value of the appendix? That exists.
Right. Yeah. Like, as you think about super chat, I admit to not forgiving Sazed for the shitty move.
Yeah. And that's fair. I do understand like your guys' point of view on it, but I'm also reading this and I'm like, well, Wax agrees, so who am I to say I know better?
But I just think that being like, you need to feel better about this because there was a version of the future where you said that you were upset that you didn't get to kill her. It's just a really strange argument to make.
Yeah. Blue Sparrows, thank you for that super chat as well. From Alloy of Law, Wax puts it very clearly that when one of your own goes bad, you take care of it yourself. Yeah, and I think that, honestly, Wax being able to have that final moment with Lessie, with Pa'am, has value as well. And so it really just depends on that person, how they value justice. I mean, you said, pass the sentence, swing the sword. Like, you are...
100%, yeah.
Similar
and I agree with that.
to Wax in that way.
Right, but I also... Okay, yes. But I don't think that you can pass the sentence if you have a conflict of interest. And this is where this is the fundamental disagreement that I have with that theory.
I think Sazed is the one that passed the sentence.
But here's the thing. And I think that Sazed should have been the one to take her off the planet. I don't... Here's the thing. I don't think that Wax passed the sentence on Pa'am. Sazed did. I think that Wax was the tool to deal with the problem that Sazed was the jury on.
Wax agreed wholeheartedly that Pa'am could not continue living in this way and therefore sentence her to death.
100%. I believe that the person who passes the sentence needs to have a person that needs to not have a direct... I don't think that if you were to break the law, I could be the person to be the person who adjudicates that because I love you too much. I can't pass the sentence. I can't swing the sword because I can't be objective when it comes to your existence.
All right.
Right? Anyway, there's red mist. Trell is trying to take over the... guys, I'm not gonna lie. I don't really know.
No idea what's going on. It's real misty outside.
I
get it?
This also, like... This is such a big swing for the next book that just doesn't have anything to do with this book that I don't mind it. I didn't love it. The visuals of the scene are great. The reveals of it are just kind of like,
really cool animated.
Yeah, it would look great animated.
Mm-hmm.
It isn't... It is so... You know what it is kind of like? It's kind of like the Shallan stuff in the Sanderlanche of Way of Kings. When I was like, it's not that the Shallan stuff isn't interesting. Mm-hmm. It just has nothing to do with what's going on with anybody else.
Okay.
And so it like the Sanderlanche of Way of Kings to me felt disjointed because they were cutting from like the battlefield where this very intense thing is happening to like Yaz and Shallan talking about things that are going to matter in future books.
Right.
And this was like, there's this big intense fight at the end of this, and Sazed shows up and is like, yeah, brother, I got problems too. Uh-huh. And it's like, oh, okay, yeah. All right.
Yeah, I will figure that out next time.
I hope it's interesting when I understand it, but right now I guess there's a mist.
Yeah, right now I don't know what the fuck is going on. Anyways, Marcy.
Can we get? Let's get to. Oh no, wait, we're not there yet. Yep.
Yeah, Marcy gets the spearhead and she goes super fast. She gets some medals. She fucks people up. She pushes people away. And then she flies the fuck away. She literally nopes out. She's like, Steris, fuck you. I'm out of here. And goes to find Wax because he got shot.
Yeah. I really like this bit. Like, I think that Marcy getting all this power, and being so like filled for one moment and moving on from it so fast and realizing so quickly this isn't what I want. Like I loved the how quickly she was able to come to terms with that.
Yeah.
And just be like, oh, I actually don't want to be Wax. I don't want to be the guy at the center of all the fights. I actually want to make things better. And it's funny because Marcy is like, I actually want to be the character that Nerdy wants to read.
No, same.
The character he wishes Wax was.
Same.
I
want to know how Marcy fixes the system. I want to know how Marcy puts in place plans to make the world a better place.
James Ross says, see, I find a mystery interesting. I think about the red mist. Here's my thing. I don't find it to be a mystery.
No, it's a thing that I feel like hasn't been like seated. Like, okay.
I guess it is a mystery.
It is a mystery.
We don't have the information, but it just feels very...
I feel like I have no way to try and figure it out. Like, I don't even have the beginnings of the understandings to start to think about what it could be and what it means and how we're going to deal with it.
Well, and like, the stuff that... Trying to explain what the set has been doing in these books in the context of it has been in the service of aliens makes what the set has been doing in this book so confusing. Because, like, why would the aliens give a shit about any of this?
No clue.
Like, what do they get out of fucking any...
No idea. Yeah.
And so I think that it's one of those things where it's like, it is a mystery, but it's not a satisfying mystery because it doesn't
I have nothing to
tie
investigate.
to anything.
I have nowhere to start
If this
with
if this had been the reveal of book 1,
yeah.
that, there's aliens that are manipulating politics here, I think I would be more on board. I think that it's because it's like the end of book 3, there's one more book that I'm like, it's not in service of the mysteries or the like problems of our characters. It is a new problem that is something else.
That is going to take away from the problems we find interesting.
Yeah, and so it's because we're 3 books into a series where we have established all of these things that our characters are struggling with that they keep getting distracted from because there's a thing to go fight.
Yeah.
And rather than this book being like, and this is how we're going to refocus back into all the things that we've established that need to be dealt with.
Yeah.
This book goes, don't worry, in book 4, there's an even bigger thing they have to go fight so that we never get to the problems of this world.
You know what it kind of feels like a little bit?
Yeah. I don't.
This is like a spoiler for season 2 of Arcane. So if you haven't... You know what I mean, though, right?
100%.
That's what it feels
100%,
like. That's what it feels
100%.
like. Yeah.
This is a spoiler for season 2 of Arcane. It's aliens.
Well, who knows? But I do get similar vibes in, like, the things that I found interesting that I wanted to deal with don't feel like they are the focus of the story.
But there's no focus to the story.
Sure,
like,
yeah, but
the story doesn't have any focus.
Not like a...
But here's the thing. I got interested in the things that this book brought up. Is it the things from the first 2 books that I was interested in? Mm-hmm. No. Mm-hmm. But I was like, okay, I'll get invested in this one. But it's the 3rd book. I got invested in a new thing. And then the end of the book is like, we're not even going to get to that 3rd thing. I was like, a civil war in the basin is actually a really cool idea. What does that look like in book 4? We're not doing that because airships and aliens mean it's irrelevant. And so it's not even that...
But even to take it one step further, it's like, oh shit, there's an external country that has technology that our characters don't have. Damn, that's going to be a problem to deal with. Don't worry.
There's aliens.
It's aliens.
Like, it's not that there's... I like mysteries.
Yeah.
But I like when the mysteries are relevant to what's happening and not just like a new thing and then a new thing and then a new thing. And Wax doesn't even care. Like, that's the craziest part about all of it is the main character's like, I'm not really that interested in any of this. I don't care about the Civil War. I don't really care about the political situation. I have fought 2 different political revolutions and my wife still votes for me and I don't know what she votes for. My fiance, not even my wife. My fiance has been voting for me for I don't even know what, despite the fact that I have stopped 2 revolutionary movements in my city.
Yeah.
Wax is so uninterested in anything that these books do until that he's given something to fight. But the things that he's given to fight don't matter to the things that the book is doing. It's such a weird experience. And guess what? It's also so much fun.
Yeah.
It's the weirdest experience. Because I'm having a blast with a main character who doesn't care. But like, I'm having fun.
Yeah.
Fuck Steris is great.
Because Steris is there. Speaking of Steris, she's like, oh, damn, my sister just started glowing and flying around. That's so crazy. Anyways, Alec is really cold, and he's about to die. So Steris, because she only gave herself a 7, which is hilarious. Mm-hmm. Steris actually hollowed out her notebook so that she could store an extra heating medallion, and she's able to give it to Alec and save him. Then we cut over to Wax and Harmony again, and Wax is given the choice of freedom or responsibility, and realize, this moment was like, I got a little bit choked up because he can see the freedom of just like of existence.
Yeah.
And this beautiful thing that's like is what got me at the end of Mistborn Era 1 with like Vin and Ellen, and I was like, oh my god, they can like fly around and like be together or whatever. Yeah. But he chooses to go back.
One of the things that I think is really interesting about this is that at the end of Mistborn Era 1, Sazed says that Vin and Ellen are happy. Mm-hmm. But he doesn't. That's not true. Like, this recontextualizes that in such an interesting way.
What do you mean?
Because he has no fucking clue where they are. He doesn't know. Right?
Oh.
Like, that is just not... It's so fascinating to me to make him God. And have this moment at the end of book 3 where he goes, these two characters, wherever they are, they're happy. And then the next time we talk about the concept of his understanding of the afterlife, he's straight up like, I don't know. No clue.
Yeah.
Vin and Ellen? Oh, no, I just wanted Lestibornis to feel okay. I have no idea.
Yeah, I guess so.
I don't know where the fuck they are.
Yeah. And
so that's just such a, like, it is such an interesting concept for him to be like, yeah. Because I was like, where are they? I thought they were going to show up. I straight up was like, oh, he's going to meet the Ascendant Warrior. Or some shit like that.
Yeah, no, they are literally like just spirits like existing.
But we don't even know if they're that.
Well, that's kind of what Wax sees on the other side. So we kind of know even if Harmony doesn't.
Yeah. I was just interesting. The Cosmere, the God thing in the Cosmere is so fascinating. Because he doesn't know.
Yeah.
And why would he know?
Yeah.
Why would anyone know? But obviously, that we get the great moment of Blue Sun says, does he not finish with I think? Yeah, but knowing when Sazed says I think, like, he just says I think at the end of sentences. You know what I mean? Like, that just is a thing that he does.
Yeah.
It's like a verbal tick.
It's like us saying, you know what I mean?
What?
We say that a lot.
What do we say?
You know what I mean?
Do we say you know what I mean a lot?
Chat, do we say you know what I mean a lot?
Do both of us do that?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never noticed that.
Really?
Oh no. Now I'm going to think about it every time it comes out of my mouth.
You're welcome. Mm-hmm.
Do I say you know what I mean a lot?
Yes. Oh, really? I feel like I definitely do it.
Oh, shit. No, now I'm in my head about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Fuck. Oh, God. So Wax is like, they have the final conversation about Lessie, and we find out that Lessie told Sazed to look after him.
Yeah.
We do, one of the things I really like about this moment is that Sazed, when they have this conversation, and Wax is like, oh, do you do this for everyone? And Sazed's like, oh, yeah, I make the time for this. And I think that's a really beautiful sentiment. Like, the idea of...
he considers it his most sacred duty.
But not just that, right? The fact that it is an intentional thing.
Yeah.
Like, I love that Sazed has to, like... I love the idea that he doesn't have to. But that he chooses to.
Yeah.
There's something really profound in framing a, like, intentional God.
Yeah.
And it's just such proof that Sazed was the right person for that, right?
Oh,
that it was the right person to rise up because he has kept that intention.
Yeah. Like, no one was ever going to be perfect at it. Like, how the fuck could
he? And he hasn't been.
Yeah,
right? Like,
but he is still the right person for it.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. And so he wakes up holding the spearhead and heals himself. Mm-hmm. Because he has the bands of mourning.
Chapter 29. We get a little moment with Suit.
Mm-hmm.
He gets up onto the ship, and they're like, but what about Sequence? And he's like, yeah, fuck it. She'll catch up later.
She can fly.
Yeah, it's fine. Whatever. Then we hop over to the ship captain, who is dying with her crew. When Alec shows up with the heating medallions for everybody to help them out, and also with guns. We got guns.
Yeah, the set are just terrible at fucking, like, everything. They're so bad at this. The fact that Steris and Alec managed to get your guns... Suit, you gotta work
Where
on
are
training,
your
man.
Alamancers? I mean, to be fair, the set does have a lot of aluminum guns. So if you have that kind of weapon lying around and people can get their hands on it, then you also fuck yourself over.
Sure. I guess, like, and I think that, like, they're all so thrown off by Marcy escaping that they pulled this off. But I was like, oh, they got up. I thought they were going to release them. When they have a bunch of guns, I was like, oh.
Oh, yeah.
Were they in a box? Like, how did that happen? So yeah, they're gonna go fight. It's gonna be sick. Wax has all the powers of shit. Of being a Mistborn, which to me feels like it wouldn't actually be that helpful. Like if I was Wax, I would stick mostly to coin shotting and making my way different.
Well, I mean that's kind of like
what he does. Yeah.
What he does. Yeah. He speeds up a little bit. I think
the idea of getting those powers and using them for the first time in a fight with multiple people sounds like a nightmare to me.
Yeah, he kind of just presses go.
Especially after watching Vin have to work so hard to understand how to use her powers at all.
Yeah.
I'm like, just don't pull. Don't do anything that you're not used to.
Don't tug on something if you don't know what it does.
Maybe burn pewter. Pewter's the one where I feel like you can't, like, fuck that up too much.
Just don't do it too hard. You know?
But I was waiting. I just wanted one moment.
One fuck up?
Yeah, I wanted one moment where Wax tries to, like, lurch and just goes flying into a wall or something. You know what I mean? Like, I just wanted one where it doesn't work.
Yeah. That would have been very funny.
Not even the wrong button, but just, like, not... Because he's never had the power before, that he just doesn't understand the, like, mechanic of it.
Yeah.
But no, he's great at it. He whips around. He goes straight to the ship. And he is... we do get a moment where he's like, I could just take it out of the sky, but I'm not here to murder everyone. I do actually want to take them in for justice. And so he goes in and finds that his uncle is on the bridge of the ship by himself, and he can immediately sense metal in Suit's mouth because he is like Vin level magic now, and he can sense metal even when it's inside somebody's body. And so Suit is like, "Hey, I have armed the bomb. If you fuck with me, I will blow everyone to smithereens, and everyone will die." And so Wax is like, give me a second. And he uses his metals to speed think through every possible situation. And Suit is like, how about this? How about this? How about this? Hey. You drop the bands of metal off the ship. You fight me 1v1. And I'll disarm the bomb. And Wax is like, sick. 1v1 me, bro. And so they literally... do that. They literally fucking fight. I feel like Suit... I understand the concept of Suit being like, fuck, I need, like, some power here. But as soon as the bomb is disarmed, you kind of give it up, right? Like, I understand that Suit also has powers. Mm-hmm. And I understand that he has hemalurgically spiked himself with shit. But at the same time, Wax is the best at this. And Suit has weakened hemalurgic versions of power. But, it's a competition between two people where one person holds all the experience cards. And that's not a fight I would want to get into.
Yeah, although, Wax does say it's always the person who draws first.
I mean, that's not true in this world. That's true in our world.
Yeah,
That's not true in a world where people heal.
Well, and, Suit, has the coin in his hand, mm-hmm. or in his mouth, that he's convinced that Wax doesn't know is there.
Yeah, Suit... But the book tries to establish that Suit thinks that he can surprise Wax by leeching his powers, right? But Wax knows that he's a leecher.
Oh, yeah.
So how is that a surprise? Wax is known since they figured out what the cube does that Suit can leech power.
No, I thought he found out in the...
Nope, that's Eirik. Nope, I'm wrong. Nope. Eirik was the one who leeched on the train. I'm so wrong. Yeah.
Didn't he leech in the fight in the
yes.
broken glass room though?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
right. No, but I'm conflating those things. Suit doesn't know that Wax knows that he's a leecher. No, I'm completely wrong. But anyway, I don't know. I just if I personally I think that like 1v1ing someone who is like the warrior man, it would be like me being like, I'm gonna fight Manny Pacquiao. Like, am I like bigger than him? Do I have reach on him? Absolutely. Is he like 60 or like 50 something? Yeah. He's still been he's a professional boxer. I'm not. So like that's a bad example. But like he's still gonna beat the shit out of me because he's got so much experience. I don't want to fight that.
Yeah, I think that he thinks that his coin is gonna be enough to save him, right?
Yeah.
Because Wax is not fucking around. He
James Ross, I'm not gonna lie. If Manny Pacquiao's arms were tied behind his back, I still think he would beat the shit out of me. I think Manny Pacquiao would headbutt me to death before I would beat him in a fight.
Sure.
That man's been punched in the head far more than I have. I think that even if I could get some licks in, I think that he would dodge and like get a good clock on my chin with his head.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so they smash into one another. Wax gets leeched, but he can still use his weight. And he's like, you always forget that I'm also a ferrochemist. Yeah, fuck you, terrorist people. And so he just fucking sinks the ship. Just makes himself so heavy that they absolutely demolish this thing.
We don't go. That doesn't quite happen yet. Before we get there,
I was just going through like that character's.
We cut over to Telson, and Telson is leaving towards the little craft, the little hop, skip, and a jump guy, and Telson is about to flee back to her alien overlords.
Yep.
When Wayne shows up and shoots her in the head.
Yep.
Bah!
Started blasting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but not in the back of the head. In the side of the head.
Yeah.
Because if you shot her in the back of the head, she'd die.
Yeah, and Wayne kind of knew.
I'm not gonna lie. Look, I know I am the, like, I don't like fake deaths guy.
Mm-hmm.
I know that I'm that guy. I'm really glad she survives this. Because nothing happens between the reveal that she's bad and this moment.
Yeah, I want there to be some kind of, like, I want there to be something there that's a little more satisfying.
Yeah, I have so many more questions now, especially because of the reveal that she's the one that brought Suit into the fold.
Yeah.
Like, you were complaining about the death in the reaction. Yeah, oh no, I was complaining about it immediately, because I was like, I don't want her to be dead. You haven't paid off anything from her being
I prefer
yet.
this outcome.
Or from her being evil yet. And so, like, this would have been an unsatisfying death, especially because she just gets shot in the head. Like, it literally is, there's no, like, arc to this fight.
Yeah. We cut over to Marcy, who checks on Milan, who is a mist wraith. Wayne has showed up and has got Milan's spikes.
And R'hllor's spike.
And R'hllor's as well, yes. They did get all the spikes.
I understand that we wanted to spend the entire end of the book with Wax and Steris. I do wish we'd seen R'hllor get his spike back in the epilogue.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Because we get a few different POVs in the epilogue.
Yeah.
Milan kind of disappears right at the end of the book.
Mm-hmm.
This is kind of the last moment where R'hllor's spike is mentioned. I wish we'd seen him get it back. It just kind of felt like that was what started this whole book.
Yeah.
And after this moment, it's kind of forgotten about.
Yeah.
And I think that it would have been a really nice final moment for Milan in this book.
Yeah.
Because she just, I do feel like Milan kind of gets forgotten about a little bit.
Yeah.
When she's not useful.
Yeah.
Narratively. And that's not my favorite. Or when she's not comedic. And so I do wish that in, like, the epilogue, because we get a little bit of Marcy and we get Wax and, like,
yeah.
I just wish we'd gotten Milan getting to do the spike moment. Yeah. I think it would have been a real, it would have ended what is the beginning of the book, which is, the Khandra showing up and saying that we need the spike.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of weird to me that we didn't get that scene.
No, I agree with that. I would have loved that as a moment. We do get a moment of like Milan in Mist Wraith form.
Yeah.
And the feelings that she's kind of like instinctually feeling, but she doesn't have. It's very interesting. But she's able to absorb the spikes dropped on her and kind of like.
Yeah.
Comes back to life with some holes in her memory, and she sees Wayne.
And so we get back to the Wax chapter where the big fight moment happens. It's not a long fight. Wax kind of just pushes himself towards Suit, gets shot, but grabs Suit, and then makes himself so heavy that they go through the floor of the ship, which is, I thought they were going to bring the whole ship down. So I'm glad he tapped that weight fast enough that he went through the ship rather than just the whole ship getting dragged.
Yeah.
And Suit, instead of using that coin to kill Wax, the one in his mouth, he uses it to save his own life, pushing it into the ground far below. And
save their fall. Yeah.
Yeah. But then they land and Wax knocks his uncle out.
Yeah.
Taken prisoners like a good lawman.
Yeah. We get to chapter 30.
Yeah. We get the final moment with Milan where she gets her spike and the first thing she sees is Wayne. And she's like, hey, we made out. You saw my titties.
Which titties, though?
Good question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big guys, I think, yeah.
The
mommy milkers. Yeah.
I mean, Wayne's canonically likes them thick.
That's true. Yeah.
Because Maricy's too thin for him, right? Isn't that something he said at one point?
Probably.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I don't know.
Chapter 30.
Lost track of the weird shit Wayne says.
Maricy is drinking hot chocolate.
She's like, this is the best fucking thing ever in the entire world, and we need relations between our peoples so that I can have this regularly.
This is so dumb.
No, I'm like, I get it. Maricy, I get you.
I get it. It was funny. I just love it. She's like, we need diplomatic relationships so that I can heat up chocolate. Although she does say that it's different chocolate.
No, it's not. I think that Maricy's world doesn't have sugar.
Oh, what? No, they have sugar.
Do they?
Oh,
I've never heard sugar mentioned. Because she's like, oh, it's like sweet, like I don't think that they have like refined sugar to sweeten chocolate.
That's so fascinating.
Like this is like milk chocolate and she's only ever had like 90% dark. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They never thought to make it sweeter. James asked, do they have sugar though? Have we ever established that anything they eat is sweet?
Yeah.
Sarah's had lemonade. Oh, and it was so sweet. No, that's true.
That could be honey though.
You can sweeten hot chocolate with honey, though.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, no, never mind.
That was my, first thought.
Yeah, they have sugar with tea. Yeah, no, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been funny, though, if they just didn't have sugar. Seiza gave them everything except sugar.
It's very addictive.
I mean, I think sugar's not the easiest thing to grow in certain climates, right? So...
Sugarcane?
Like, one of the problems with the basin is that they don't have everything. Like...
They can't have every climate, yeah.
Yeah, it's not possible.
Yeah.
I mean, it's magic, so it is, but... like, for us, like, you know, I'm only going to be on Earth as long as the belt upon which we can grow coffee exists. Once that disappears, because of climate change, I will die.
Yeah.
Like, fairly quickly.
Yeah.
I'm not going to survive long. I'm so sorry. Like, I love you, and I want a full life with you.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that...
Once coffee is gone,
yeah.
that's it. Yeah.
I'm like a chondra, and coffee is my spike. The problem is it passes through me so quickly. Do they even have bees? That's a great question.
No idea.
Yeah.
I've never even seen an insect, so I don't know how plants get pollinated.
What?
Like, I don't know. I haven't seen any insects.
Yeah, when they don't mention it, I assume they have insects.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just saying we don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know. Okay.
How does pollination work on Roshar?
Because what if they didn't have insects because of the ash, but from Mistborn Era 1? Like, would Sazed have known to invent insects for pollination?
They have pollinating microbes.
Maybe.
He didn't know about the fucking ash-eating microbiology.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on. Steris basically negotiates an international treaty in like 5 seconds that's actually pretty solid.
Yeah. Yeah, because they're about to, like, fight. Like, it's not, like, looking real good. Wax gets all weirdly, like, postury.
Well, they're both arguing about who should have the bands of mourning.
Yeah.
And the Wax giving them to the Kandra is the best move, I think.
Oh, God, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. I think that they come up with the right solution, mostly because Steris is the fucking tits. Wax goes over to the statue and checks out the belt for some reason. It's just aluminum. But, like, they keep thinking everything's aluminum, so I wish he'd taken it with him. But I guess he doesn't. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess he's rich enough that it doesn't matter. Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't care about money. And he goes to check on his sister's body, finds out that it is gone. She survived.
Shocking. She can heal.
And Wax is stoked because he has something to hunt.
He really needs that motivation.
Yeah, I really would like for him to, like, attempt to make life better for all the people who rely on him financially.
No, we don't do that.
But no, he's gonna go hunt his sister.
Yeah.
While she works for aliens.
31.
The penultimate chapter before the epilogue, the final chapter of the book.
Yeah, they fly home on the ship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They get dropped off. They stop
on top of a building.
They stop in a small town to send a telegram ahead that they're coming.
Yeah.
And, like, I wish we'd seen that. Because can you imagine, like, I wish this chapter had been from the perspective of some random farmer who just all of a sudden has an airship landing in town.
Yeah.
Laurie and Curly are sitting on the porch of their farm, like, oh, Chloe, what the fuck is that?
Aliens.
It's not a hawk making lazy circles in the sky.
Wax goes to see Steris in her room, and they leave the ship together. They walk on top of this fucking tower. And
they land on the, like, fucking top of the, like, Chrysler building.
Yeah, literally.
This was the most Batman shit ever. Because in a lot of Batman comics nowadays, Wayne Tower is downtown, and it's where the, like, secondary Batcave is. The Batgirl TV show used that. And I just love that he's like, oh, no, we're going to land on top of that building. I own the penthouse.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Yeah, it's totally fine. This works.
Why? Why do you own the penthouse of this building?
Whatever. Rich people. Alec gives his mask to Marcy, which definitely means something that we don't know yet.
They're definitely engaged now, and she doesn't know it.
Yeah, 100%. She has no fucking clue. Because the crew is all like, oh my god, what the fuck? And she's like, cool, thanks, bro. You're kind of cute, I guess.
Yeah.
Haredale is like, guys, you really, like, screwed me over with what happened in New Saren. But hopefully a giant flying ship and new peoples from another nation will be a distraction from that paperwork.
Who cares about your taxes when we have an enemy that we can use to unite the people of Ellendale?
Yeah, love that. Milan explains about the bands, and he
But this is all we get from Milan.
Yes.
I am a little disappointed in how Milan doesn't get a moment at the end.
Yes.
That isn't being, like, perfunctory.
No, I am with you on that.
Yeah.
But we do get a really sweet moment where, you know, Wax is like, I realize that we have been engaged and meant to be married for completely, like, political reasons.
Yeah.
But I would like to marry you because I care about you. Yeah. Like, I would like to marry you.
And I want to do it
aside
right now.
From all those things. Yeah.
In this penthouse that I own.
Pretty much.
That will become our house.
Sure. Yeah. They walk, and there is just a priest chilling there and waiting to marry them.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And there is a moment where Wayne holds Marcy back because Wayne knows what's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh.
Wayne
gets it.
Well, and Wax has at this point been like, hey, dude, enough.
Yeah.
And so I think Wayne, you know, when your boy, you know.
Wayne watched the only person who cares about him die.
Yeah.
And that changes a person, you know, for sure.
Which I'm really curious what their, like, dynamic is in the next book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We get to the epilogue.
Marcy, we start with Marcy. And
Her and Reddy are working well together.
Yeah, now that Reddy isn't insecure about his position,
Yeah.
he really is that guy that's like, now that I'm secure, I can stop being a dick to you.
Yeah.
Suit hasn't talked, but a lot of other people have. They haven't talked about how, like, there's aliens yet, but they have talked a little bit. So Aradel is in a position where he's getting ready for war.
They don't know about the aliens.
I'm assuming people within this set know about the aliens. Or else, why are they doing this?
Oh, I guess Suit would. I don't know if...
Suit clearly does.
Yeah, I don't know if the, like, grunts do. Maybe. I mean,
What
they're
are
like
they
Hail Trell or whatever, so yeah, probably.
Yeah. So it's mostly about Trell, I guess.
Yeah.
And we cut over to Edwarn, who's in his cell.
Yeah.
Little suit boy. And he is like...
He's visited by an alien.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not an alien. It's not actually an alien in that it is... Because Suit is like, oh, it's taken over the body of a homeless person. But it's got red eyes, which, like... The Fused have red eyes, right? That's a thing. Or, like, Stormform.
Stormform has red eyes, yes. Yep.
Is this also Odium, do you think?
Could be.
Like, is Trell just also... Is Odium just making a play for the whole Cosmere?
No, Trell is just a mispronunciation of Thrill.
But that's a piece of Odium.
Yeah.
So is this actually another shard, or was the shard war of preservation and ruin actually the only shards here? Because Trell is just a piece of a shard in the same way that, like, the Thrill was, or the same way that the Stormfather is. Like, is Trell just to Odium what the Stormfather was to Honor?
Maybe.
Right?
Could be, especially if they live on a dandelion on Roshar.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Anyways, the alien says, Suit, we've decided to take your advice and speed up our plans. We're not going to exterminate everyone on this planet. It's been nice knowing you. And he triggers a bomb.
Yeah. They're dead.
They're dead. But Wax wakes up and is like, was that an explosion?
What the fuck?
Weird. Huh, that's...
Guess I'm gonna have to get used to living downtown.
Yeah, the sirens are going.
Yeah.
He's on his honeymoon with Steris.
Their honeymoon, where they have not left the room.
Yes, exactly. And Wax goes over to the coin that Hoyd gave him.
Mm-hmm.
Because Druten didn't quit. Despite everything, he is still the butler, all right? So he picks up the coin and realizes, oh, wait a minute, that's one of them medallion thingies. Or no, sorry, not a medallion. No,
it's a medallion.
It's a copper mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it is a medallion, but it is also a copper mind. And he taps into it, and he sees somebody strolling through a village where their people are dying because they're cold. They burned their doors, their walls, their masks. And so he goes and whispers to her, survive. And he's got a bunch of crazy scars all over his arms. Ooh. No idea who that is.
Well, here's the thing.
He's also got a spike in his one eye.
It's tough because I was down for it not being the Lord Ruler.
Look, Lord Ruler was the absolute last bottom of the list person that I wanted it to be, so I'm very glad it's not him.
Yeah. I also don't love it being Kelsier.
Here's the thing. The more that I've thought about this reveal, the more that I'm like, oh my god, Brandon Sanderson was literally screaming this at us the whole time. They're like, yeah, no, the Survivor Church, it's not relevant to the plot, but we keep talking about the Survivor and the Survivalist and how he's definitely survived and the people believe that he survives and that the one thing you gotta do is keep surviving. And we've had several moments where that's like told to us and I'm like, oh man, I should have fucking seen that coming.
The value of that coming from Kelsier surviving the pits of Halsin and being the first person to really openly like stand up to the Lord Ruler was enough for me though.
Sure.
Like I don't need him to have magically survived but then not have been a part of the rest of it, like, but he also just like disappeared for all of Mistborn Era 1 then. for some reason and then showed up in another continent to help some random people.
Well, that's the thing, is when was he resurrected? Because did he come back after, like, Sazed kind of took over and he's like, oh, they don't need me anymore, I'm gonna go help other people?
I understand, guys. I understand that the book says that the survivor survived. I get that.
Yeah, but
that was a
fine.
Shit. Like, yeah, I was fine with that being a belief that these characters have. I didn't need it to be real. Like, I don't... Like, I was fine with the characters having this belief that Kelsier is with them always, right?
Yeah.
But by making it him... Seth Border says also called him the survivor of death. Yeah, but Marsh has also done that.
Well, and they call him the survivor of death because after he dies, Kandra take his body and pretend to be him.
But that's the thing. They have his actual bones. So what do you mean he survived? We know... So he has to have gotten resurrected somehow. Mm-hmm. Not involving his physical body. Because we know what happens to his physical body.
Yeah.
And so now you're saying that there is a method of resurrection in the Cosmere that you can literally have your bones consumed by a creature and still get brought back. Unless
the spike through the eye is that this is not actually Kelsier, this is a Kandra. And that this is Sazed helping out the people of this world without just, like, giving them shit.
But then why make it Kelsier? Because once you make it Kelsier, I'm like, where was he? Everyone he loved fought a war for years and the whole planet nearly died and he didn't help out at all? He was just around?
Maybe Kelsier's got one of those faces that people will listen to. And it's like, well, you're a Kandra. If you're gonna try and help people and convince them that, like, you are there to help, you gotta have one of those faces.
Yeah, look, and I think that the Bogdan Danbog, thank you for joining the Nerds Radiant. There is always another secret.
Yes, thank you.
I get that. I think there is a way for this to work. I just think that the stronger move is to let the Final Empire be the Final Empire. It's one of your best books. Don't fuck
Final
with
Empire? You mean...
The Final Empire, the first Mistborn book. When Kelsier dies... That moment is great on its own. Like, yeah. Kelsier's death is already awesome. It's one of my favorite moments in the entire Cosmere.
Yeah.
I don't need it recontextualized.
Yeah, changing it is ballsy. If it pays off, if there's a way to pay it off, like, I am open to the idea, but I think it's gonna have to be fucking... Like, the bullseye target is pretty small because of how impactful it was when he did die.
James Ross says, has faith in the mighty Brandy Sandy. Here's the thing. I don't have faith in authors. Ever. That's just not... that's not how I roll. I read the books as, like, they come to me. And part of the reason why I don't have faith in authors is, like, I like Brandon Sanderson's writing. I don't think Mistborn Era 2's been that good. Or it's been good. I don't think it's been that strong. I'm not reading Mistborn Era 2 and being like, wow, he's really cooking here.
Yeah.
On a lot of other things. So my faith that he's going to cook with this right now, given the fact that, like, I don't think book 2 and 3 of Mistborn Era 2 are the strongest books, I don't feel like he's cooking right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think he's cooking at the moment. And so I'm worried that he's leaning on characters that I care about because the plot of these books is fine. Yeah. And it's like, oh, be interested in this. I don't give a shit about the aliens or the suit or the set. Like, the villains of this series make no sense to me. They're not... They just... The villains of this of Mistborn Era 2 have really been a mishmash to me of, like, I don't get what they want. They just seem to be doing evil shit to do evil shit because they want power. That a lot of these characters that we meet in this set already have power in their society. So, like, they just seem to be doing stuff to be evil. And it's because the aliens are evil, I guess. I don't know. I don't really care. I care about the main characters. I think they're fun, and I want them to succeed. And so I'm on the journey with them. But I don't think these books have been nearly as well scripted and written as Mistborn Era 1. Mm-hmm. And so when you start to, like, drag Mistborn Era 1 characters into this, I get worried that you're using them to elevate interest in a property that isn't as interesting as the property that it is dragging characters out of.
Yeah. And you do risk like recontextualizing those like incredible stories in a negative way or like a less impactful way, right?
James Ross says, we step back in time and his writing. We have reached right before Oathbringer now.
Yeah, but Mistborn Era 1 was before this, so it doesn't matter. Like, it...
That doesn't really change... Yeah, that doesn't really change how I feel about this, because my feelings about this don't have really anything to do with Stormlight Archive. It's how... It is that how much I love Mistborn Era 1.
Yeah.
Yeah. Z-Tom says the set are very evil Indiana Jones villains. But the thing that... Okay, but this is the problem with Indiana Jones. And trying to do Indiana Jones, but not have it be Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones fights Nazis. And so at no point in those movies, if you understand World War II even a slight bit, are you unaware of what he's fighting against.
Well, there's not Nazis in every movie.
I mean, the good ones there is.
Well, okay, wow.
What? Indiana Jones fights Nazis. If he's not fighting Nazis, I don't want it. That's how I feel. Like, Indiana Jones works because Nazis. Like, the villain, you don't need to explain the villains in Indiana Jones. Mm-hmm. Because I immediately understand why Nazis are bad. Because they're the Nazis. I understand their worldview. You don't have to explain the worldview of Nazis to me because I know what it is.
Yeah.
The problem with doing Indiana Jones in a fictional world is I need to understand what the bad guys want.
Yeah.
And I just don't, right? You haven't established the villainy of them to me. Because these people are from this culture but want to destroy it so that they can be in charge of it. And I'm like, but they are... Almost everyone we meet has power in this society already.
Well, the two people we meet.
No, even the woman who runs the set woman who we go meet, it's her party, right? When we go to New Saren.
Sure, yeah.
She's also one of the richest people in the country. Like, we don't meet a lot of people in the set who are poor.
Those are the grunts that have been, like,
right.
brainwashed, yeah.
All of the people we meet who are, like, in the hierarchy of the set are incredibly wealthy aristocrats that are throwing lavish parties and have everything that they could want.
Yeah.
And so them being just kind of evil is... I need a little bit more from that.
For sure.
And so... This book doesn't get... even now that it's evil aliens, I guess, who just want to kill everybody. Even now, we finally meet the aliens, and they're like, we're going to kill everyone because you're right about the timeline. And I'm like, what does killing everyone have to do with the rest of this shit? Like, how does that connect to what the set have been doing?
Yeah.
I don't know. I
couldn't tell you.
And, that's just where I'm at.
Yeah.
That's just where I'm at. I think these books are really fun, and I like the main characters a lot. Mm-hmm. I wish that they were just tighter. I wish that they were a little bit more directional. I wish that there weren't as many clues given to our characters. I wish they had to solve stuff in this book. Mm-hmm. I wish it wasn't like, here's a clue, action sequence. Here's another person showing up with a different clue, action sequence. But it's also great. It's like a really fun book, and I recommend reading it because it's kind of a blast. And Yeah. If this was a movie, I think that I would love it.
Yeah. Because
it would be an hour and 40 minutes. You'd fucking fly. The action scenes would be great. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
But it's also a movie that I'd be like, God, I had so much fun. I don't remember anything about it.
Yeah.
It's the book equivalent of, like, I'm trying to think of a good movie recently that felt like that. Where it was like such a fun popcorn adventure.
Like, it was like bad. It's like it's like a cult classic thing. But, like, when cult classics are, like, sometimes, like, not great, but you still love them? Shut up. Bullet Train was great.
No, Bullet Train but Bullet Train also makes no fucking sense. But, like, Bullet Train and this are equivalent. I like the characters. The plot is kind of whatever.
Okay, sure.
The plot is kind of whatever in Bullet Train, but, like, God, that movie was I love that movie. The thing is, Bullet Train isn't book 3 of a series where there's things I care about.
Yeah.
And this movie on its own would be a fun little action-adventure movie, but it's book 3 of a series that I'm invested in, and I'm like, this kind of was just a little bit too frivolous for the position it has in the world.
Yeah, okay.
And I don't know, like, that's just kind of where I'm at, is like...
I agree, 100%.
It's a blast. It's a blast of a book.
Yeah.
that I wanted more from.
Yeah. Judah, thank you for that super chat. This is the problem of Era 2 not being originally planned. There's a lot of things Sando does have planned for future. These stuff's in Era 2, so the story and structure of Era 2 suffers a lot. Yeah. I think it really got away from him. I think it was...
Interesting.
Right? He didn't mean for it to be this many books. He was like, yeah, Alloy of Law, that's a fun idea. Wait a second. I can't help myself from, like, Cosmerifying it all. And I think that it suffers because of that, but... perhaps things that he writes in the future will be more successful because of it. So, yeah.
But that's the thing. If you want to do just a fun book, don't Cosmerify it. Because then I have no expectations of bigger things. That's what I mean.
He can't help himself.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, I definitely had a good time reading this, and I wouldn't be like, oh, it's bad. You know, like...
no, it's not bad. Yeah, it's not.
It is a fun time, and the romance is great. And, you know, I'm not hankering for the next book. But I'm also not like, oh God, that's what we got to pick up next. Like, whereas, like, you know, there was, like, points in the Wheel of Time where I was like, oh God, oh no. So I'm looking forward to it next, but I am actually very, very excited to get back to Stormlight.
Yeah. I'm excited to read Secret History in 2 weeks, but then I'm excited for Rhythm of War. Apparently, we're not doing Rhythm of War. We're going to do Dawn Shard first when we get back, and then Rhythm of War.
Oh.
Which,
well, then we can
the, like, content creator part of my brain is like, oh, no.
Then we can do Kushiels.
Yeah, we can start with Kushiels and... Okay.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll take a look at the schedule. So next week we are in LA. So sorry, guys. The week after that will be full book recaps.
Yeah.
Well, I think we'll just do Mistborn Era 2 recap so far.
Yeah, just ask your biggest Mistborn Era 2 questions.
Yeah, Mistborn Era 2 recap.
And we're going to cover
Dawn
Secret
Shard.
History. It's probably going to be mostly Secret History with, like, an hour of...
Sorry, Secret History, yeah.
Yeah. One thing I will say, James Ross says fans were asking for more Cosmere stuff. Your fans aren't right.
Well, yeah.
Every creative needs to learn. Your fans don't actually know what they want.
Yeah, they're not always right.
Clarus, what is your high for the final third of Bands of Mourning? That's it.
I just want to say we're going to open up that questions channel for you guys. So make sure you're in the Discord so you can ask us those questions.
Clarus, what's your final thoughts, or what's your high of this book? Of this section.
It is hands down the Steris and Wax relationship.
Yep.
Like I can't. It doesn't get any better than that. They had so many beautiful moments.
It's the best part of the whole book.
Like fucking loved it. Ate that shit up. What is your low?
I understand your language now because my soul thinks that it grew up
on this dirt.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. I think, yeah.
It's fine, but in a world where like the powers, I'm pretty on board with most of the powers. That's one where I get it. You want a magical way for people to talk across your universe, and you want to the Cosmere needs people to be able to communicate in order to bring the planets together.
Yeah.
It being the like artificial borders of a country when they've established they're in a place nobody lives, it didn't work for me.
Yeah, it's also not my favorite. What is your high?
Ooh, I'm trying not to just go Steris and Wax, which is real tough.
You can though, like if we have the same like that, it makes sense.
I'm trying to pick a specific moment though. Okay. I think I'm gonna go with actually Steris and Maricy's conversation.
Oh.
Where because it's a great moment for both of them, right? Where Steris kind of is like,
yeah,
you know. Also, Steris is kind of like, when are you gonna find someone to be happy? And Maricy's like, whoa, what the fuck?
Whoa, what the fuck? Just because you think you're old doesn't mean I think I'm old.
Maricy being able to acknowledge that she's happy for Steris is awesome. Like, I love that. And I'm so glad we didn't do a love triangle. Like, there's so many ways. Honestly, look, do I think these books are better than Mistborn Era 1? No. But do they have a bad love triangle in them? Also no. And I am okay with that.
Yeah, we'll take it where we can get it.
If you like the video, subscribe to the channel. If you don't, hit the dislike button. Leave mean comments down below because the algorithm god is hungry and we must feed her. This episode, that algorithm goddess is... Steris. What are you doing?
Yeah.
She saved everyone with diplomacy.
Thank God.
If you want to follow us on the internet, you can. I'm at nerdynightly.
I'm at Claris Polaris.
This has been the Nerdy Wordy Book Club. We'll see you in 2 weeks for more book club. But until then, read books, be kind to one another, and as always, do something nerdy tonight. Come on, we gotta add one sex scene.
Oh my God. I mean, Wax and Steris are on their fucking honeymoon.
We can't add that though. We know they fuck.
Yeah, okay. That's
Do you think that Steris is like, all right, We're married. These are all the positions I want to hit, and this is the order I want to hit them in. So do you think she unrolls a notebook?
she doesn't know how sex works.
She was reading books about it.
Yeah.
I know, but you're telling me you think she was reading books and didn't write down the positions she wanted to hit in order?
Do you think it was actually like a Kama Sutra book, though, or do you think it was just like the anatomy of human beings?
I am telling you right now, she has a spreadsheet where she has every position human beings have ever tried, and she wants to rank them out of 100.
Okay, yeah, I could see that.
The end of this honeymoon, Steris knows exactly what her ranking is of every possible position that she can that her flexibility will allow.
And she's also like, okay, Wax's dick actually is like a little bit left leaning. So if we want to do this position, we kind of have to adjust for that so that the angle can be better for me.
Yeah.
And like, there's like a full like protractor and everything just to make sure that they really like get it like to a T.
And with that, a interruption-free book club.
There you go.
Thank you to our mods. Y'all are the best.
Thank you,
We'll see you in
guys.
2 weeks, everybody.
See ya.
Bye.